Hello, good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to all the participants. We are here on the third day of 6 days executive development program. And my sincere gratitude to ICAI President CA Nehar Jambusaria sir, ICAI Vice President CA Dr. Devashish Mitra sir. This program under CMIB and under the vision of Chairman C.A. Hansraj sir and Vice Chairman of the committee C.A. Durgesh Kabra sir has been a great success, and sincere gratitude to all of you for actively participating in the program. Now, today we have 3 speakers and different wide topics will be covered today, and your presence for the entire 3 hours will make this a great success. Please allow me to introduce our first speaker, C.A. Adil Buhariwala. C.A. Adil is a partner internal audit and risk consulting at UHY James Management Consultants. He has extensive experience in risk management framework development and implementation, corporate governance and business process, due diligence reviews, internal audit function setup, internal auditing tools and techniques, operational auditing, and other internal auditing specialty areas. C.A. Adil is an accomplished trainer and international speaker on internal auditing related topics as well as motivational subjects. He has consistently been voted amongst the top presenters at several national and international conferences. And he has worked at Emirates Group for 29 years, where his last position was Vice President Internal Audit. So C.A. Adil, I have been knowing him for more than a decade, and he has spent his most of the career in UAE. He's a veteran of UAE, spent more than 35 years. And we are very happy to have him here today, who has been contributing to the ICAI initiatives in Middle East since a very long time. And it's a great opportunity for all of us to listen to him today. So please help me welcome him with a big virtual round of applause. And C.A. Adil, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Prabdeep, for first of all inviting me for this wonderful introduction. And a big thank you to ICAI, to the CMIB committee, to the chairman, C.A. Hansraj, vice chairman, C.A. Durgesh Kabra, and everyone who has worked to make this a success. Now, you may have heard in the introduction that, my background is, and I'm an internal auditor. So you'll say, what has internal audit got to do with this guy who's going to teach us communication skill, communicating for success? But trust me, if there is one profession where you cannot work without communicating with people, it is this profession in which I am. And whatever I have learned about communication is not from any textbook. I have never in my life attended any classes. I have learned from real life experience, what you call rubber hitting the road. I made mistakes. There was a time when I actually stood behind a podium with my knees knocking and my hands sweating, and I've overcome that. And today, after all the experiences, I have a lot more confidence, and I still tell people that I learn through these presentations. So thank you all for this. Today we are going to talk about communicating for success. I take it my screen is visible, Prabdeep?
It's visible.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly
fine. I will request the admin support to please change the view to 50-50 so that the audience participants can see both the speaker and the presentation side by side.
Okay, great.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
I take it you were referring to Prabdeep?
I have done that, Ijaz. Okay. So you can change it, Azaz, now. I think you just try.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me before I start tell you all, please feel free to ask any questions at any time. I do not necessarily want you to keep your questions to the end, and do participate in case I have any questions. Feel free to answer. Remember one thing, there is no wrong answer and there is no wrong question because we are all learning together. So, your intellectual take. Yes, please.
Yes, Izaz, I'm not pinned. There no spotlight. Spotlight is not on me. You just please check again. I'll put the spotlight on the speaker and then you check now. Okay.
Yeah, it is fine now. It is fine now. Yes.
Can I continue?
Please do. Please do.
Okay. So, as I was telling all of you who are participating, please feel free to ask. There is no wrong question. There is no wrong answer. We are all learning together. And after making more than 300 presentations in my life, let me tell you one thing. Every time I go to present, I again rehearse and practice, even if I've done it 50 times. And hold this thought in your mind because there is one aspect I'll be covering where I'll recall this with you. So, intellectual takeaway is why? Why all this stress on communication? What is this? And what are the essentials? And what you need for effective communication. So, first thing, human beings. When we talk about communicating, we are talking about us as human beings communicating. So let's look at some very key basic traits of us as human beings and the connection with this communication thing. We, by our nature, are social creatures. This social distancing is unnatural. And when people say, this is the new normal, I say, no, it is not the new normal. Because that means we are saying we will be defeated by COVID. I'm saying, no, we will come out winning. So it's only a temporary normal, not the new normal. We, as human beings, cannot survive without socially interacting, patting someone on the back, shaking hands, giving a hug. That's what human beings are all about. Okay? And the thing about communication is that it would have been impossible for us to have this enhanced sense of social awareness if we, did not cooperate so it would have been impossible for us to work together and, to do what we do. And one of the strongest capacities of us is our ability to communicate. You see today, as soon as any new device comes out relating to communication, either digital, vocal, whatever, it is the most popular thing in the market. And most people go for it. That shows our affinity for this social, bonding and communicating. And the biggest benefits of effective communication, both at a personal level, at a professional level, are it builds trust because people know what's on your mind. People know what you feel. People get clarity. You take those organizations where, they have this culture of only need to know basis. You'll see people speculating because they don't know what's happening. And what is that doing? Breaking trust. Another thing is it helps to prevent and resolve because you clarify with communication. So any wrong conceptions, misconceptions are immediately clarified and they resolve problems. They provide clarity. so often, you don't understand something and you talk, and it may be not understanding from an unclear communication. And how do you clarify it? By further asking and seeking and getting correct directions. Most important is people feel connected at whichever level they are, and that causes better relationships. Also, if people know what's happening, people trust, people feel part of the team, the organization, it improves engagement and productivity. And it definitely works in a team where you need to interact with each other. So it promotes team building. In this part of the world, we work with very, very diverse cultures. As Pradeep said, I worked for 29 years with Emirates Airline and the group, and there were 130 nationalities in the group. And one thing it taught me is how to interact with people across cultures, how to respect people, to know what triggers positive responses and what triggers negative responses and so on. So again, communication helps to manage diversity in the workplace. And most important, it helps us survive difficulties. Today, what has happened? The world is talking about the COVID situation in India. People, including the ICAI, are communicating with everyone, with members, others, to bring in aid for this. That's a classic and most up-to-date example of how communication helps us to survive difficulties. So, what is this communication? Very simply, there is no one single definition. It ranges from imparting or exchanging of information through various media, verbal, written, electronic, and so. Or it is even transferring information from one place to another. When you have, let's say, email communication where you are doing it from one place to another, or person or group to another. But the most important thing is every communication has to have minimum 3 requirements. The sender, and of course the recipient of that message, and the message. Because if you talk to yourself, yes, there is that spiritually communicating with yourself. We are right now not talking about that. That internal dialogue you have with yourself, that's a different subject. What we are talking about is communicating with another person or group of persons. So the typical communication model is like this. You have a sender who says something, and there is a receiver, and in between there is the message. So the sender sends a message, talks something, verbal, either facial expressions in whichever form. The receiver responds. Again, there is yet another clarification or a further response, and there is a confirmation or feedback. And that is how communication takes place. Now, we talked about these 3 essentials, but there are other aspects of communication, essential components. We talked about the source and the sender. We talked about the message. There is an important aspect in between, that is the channel of communication. And I'm not just talking, verbal, written, digital. I'm talking facial expressions, postures, even touch. Touch can communicate. Sometimes, let's say you're sitting in a group, correct? And your colleague is saying something that she or he shouldn't. And you move your leg under the table and touch him and press the foot, or under the table press the person's arm. That's all you have to do. The message is, something's wrong. But that's communication, right? So even touch is a form of communication. Your posture, how you communicate. Today, if I'm sitting like this and communicating, and I'm telling you communication is very important. Wow. Within 2 minutes, you all will switch off because of this sort of communication, correct? Receiver is the other component, and we covered it. So these three aspects we covered. What else? The feedback part, the inward message that comes in, which technically also we covered in a way. But communication is to and fro message. The environment where you are, the settings, the surroundings. If it's a stressful surrounding, it's different. Noisy surrounding, it's different. Calm, it's different. Joyful surrounding, the communication is different. So your environment, if you are in an auditorium, you'll communicate differently. If you are within 2 feet of a person, you'll communicate differently. The context, what is it? Is it an office-related communication, official? Is it personal? Is it formal, informal? All these things go towards context. And one aspect which is very, very important, because this is the key to success, is what you call interference. Now, I'm not talking about interference in terms of electronic bandwidth. Impediments to communication. And I'll talk about that. And all these aspects are important to keep in your mind. Look at this. This visually says it all. Correct? One person is talking in a very organized, but the receiver, just see the message that the receiver has got. Completely garbled. Right? And very often this happens. And for effective communication, you need to be cognizant of this. So, the transmission of a message through whatever medium has various impediments, and some examples are our emotions. I'm angry with you and I want to come and tell you that what you did was wrong. I'll start with that facial expression of anger, and there'll be, a sort of increased volume of my voice, etc. So emotion comes in. And, before I even start talking, I say, I don't want to talk to you. That is an impediment. That emotion, negative emotion, becomes an impediment. Likewise, if I like you, I'm really fond of you, I'll be so attentive to you. So that's a positive thing, opposite of the impediment. The cultural situation, you have to be sensitive to sensitivities and communicate. World over, there are so many different cultural sensitivities. For example, in the part of the world where I am, it's generally accepted that you do not shake hands with, say, women of particular ethnic background. It goes against their culture. Now, I start my conversation with my hand in front, and the person has to pull back. Immediately, this person will say, doesn't this guy know this? And that whole communication goes downhill, or is hesitant to communicate. This person hasn't done his homework before coming to communicate with, and so and so. The medium that you use to communicate, that can be an impediment. Don't you hear this so many times? Couldn't you just come and talk to me? Why did you have to send such a long email? What is that person telling you? You used the wrong medium and you've cheesed me off now. You've written this, you put it on record, and I'm really upset with you. So the medium can be the environment, as I said, stressful, the location, etc. You're in a very hot area, and someone is keeping on talking, and you want to say, okay, I got the message, I'm sweating. Can we please move on? Things like that. So please be very conscious. It's not just the sender, receiver, and the message. This is a very important thing. Let me now do one test with you. Everyone, I want you to glue your eyes to the screen. You can see it says, what does this sign say? And it's blacked out. I will unblack it only for 1 second, and I'll tell you why I'm going to do it. Okay? Ready, everyone? Focus. Now, can you type in and say, what did that message say? What did that message say? Please type in. And
Yeah.
Pradeep, if you can tell me, what does it say?
Yes, sir. As it comes, I will share with you. Yes.
Okay.
And in the meantime, sir, there are some questions if you would like to take.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there is one member, Mani Omar, his name. He wants to listen to your success story of rising from scratch to becoming a star. And
Okay.
there is one Mr. Manish Kumar wants to know that generally people prefer to talk about only work in their workplace. And if he wants to talk about something else to a team member, how he should proceed. Then Narendra Alluri, another member, he actually wants to know that what do you miss in virtual meetings when compared to physical meetings? Now,
Oh,
sir, many people have
brilliant.
responded to
I
your
love
question.
this. Okay, let me start with the first one about what do I owe my success to. You know, the very, very first presentation I made, in auditing, we have this thing called test checking and sample test of transactions. And many years ago, I'm talking 1987. Now, I know I've just given away my age to you guys. But anyway, I still consider myself young. In 1987, my boss said, Adil, can you do some research on this subject of sampling and please tell us? And I did it. And I made a presentation to who? My colleagues in my department. And my boss said, wow, you communicated it so well. That's all it took. That word of encouragement. And I said, wow. So whatever has worked is good. And then I said, but tell me what was not good? And I got feedback. And I do that consistently after everything. Tell me what's wrong. Don't just praise me. I can improve. We all can improve. And you never ever stop learning. So I started doing that. There were presentations where at the end I was told, sorry, Adil, it did not work at all. And I didn't stop there. I found out, I went to each of the people and I said, be honest, brutal, ruthless, and tell me what I did. And I learned from that. So that's what I do. And I do not believe that, you have to stand in this manner or, in a particular manner. Just be your natural self. And always practice, always listen. And my biggest success I'm going to tell you that it will come up in a little while. So thank you. The other question was what, please? Sorry about that.
Yeah, the other question was that people generally talk about only work in their workplace and how to proceed with the conversation of a non-work in nature.
Okay, remember one thing. You want to get people's attention. The key to get people's attention is tell a story. And the best story you can do is by talking about your personal experience. People love it. That will engage people. Right now, what did I do? I told you about how I started in Emirates. I told you, and it's not just a fake, it's a factual thing I told you. I just shared it naturally. So, when people only talk about work, you try to sidetrack that by saying, tell me, what's the background, praise the person, engage the person into telling you, so how did it happen? So tell me, how does your family support? Do you get it? Immediately the conversation will steer to person. And the atmosphere will become light. Third question, next one.
Third question is, what do you miss in a virtual meeting which is there in the physical meeting?
What I miss is the pairs of eyes, eye contact. Eye contact is most important. In a virtual world, people to earn CPAs are logged in, video is off, sound is muted, they are watching their favorite TV program, having a cup of coffee. After 1 hour they come, I've earned my CP. It takes away that joy from the presenter of interacting, asking, seeing people's reactions. And most important, if I'm saying something that's boring, I can't make out. because I can't see you. Right now, the only thing I can see on my screen is my presentation. And I miss being in the midst, because as a speaker, I take energy from the audience. So those are the questions. Okay, now it's your time to answer that question. What did that sign say?
The COVID-19 changed our life. These are the
Okay.
remarks by
Okay,
Maximus.
great. Now let me actually show you what the sign said. COVID-19 changed our lives. Correct?
Yeah. So
Why did I put it
yeah.
on only for 1 second? Sorry?
Yeah, so some have said life, some have said lives. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But you see, there are two R's. Our lives, correct?
Yeah.
Right? But
Right.
why am I doing this, and why I put it on for only 1 second? Because that is how our brain works. And when we are talking, that is roughly the speed of every thought. Right now I'm saying this sentence. Can you imagine? I said, I am saying this, and I am conveying thoughts one after another, and the brain gets just a second to get it, process it. Why am I saying? Because this is key to communication. And you see,
sir.
Yes,
sir. I would like to share that Dharmishta was one of the first 5 persons to answer, and she had answered exactly the way you have written. Dharmishta.
So see, there are few attentive people, few people who are really. Now, this person, it means, is really watching careful. But let me tell you one thing. I mean, there was a certain level of cheating here. It was not entirely normal, because I had first told you all to be ready, correct? In a normal conversation, I won't say, ready, I'm saying this next sentence, pay attention, ready, I'm saying the sentence after. No. So, well done if you picked it up. Your eye and brain coordination is extraordinary. But average human beings miss, because our brains are so attuned, it will see something and process it to mean what it normally has wired in the brain. I am getting into certain psychological aspects, because that is very, very critical to understand in communication. So, as human beings, we often tend to ignore unnecessary information that we feel we don't need. Okay, it's our way of this. Secondly, this is also part and very, very critical role, as I said, in communication. We often don't pay attention to what we believe is not important or necessary. So you come with preconceived notions. Got it? Now, the same test, had I done it without giving you advance notice, you may have gone. But I'm saying there is nothing wrong if you miss it. This is how our normal human brain functions. Okay? So, talking about this communication interference and breakdown, look at some of the things that breaks down. Either the receiver is not listening or paying attention for whatever reason. The sender's message is not clear, and I'll later give you examples of how unclear a message can be. Or I am keeping on talking and talking to say something very short, and it's not concise, and in my mind I'm saying, will you stop talking and tell me what you want to say? So that is in my mind, and I'm not listening to what you're saying. And that's what happens to most of us. The customs protocols we already covered there, where you breach certain things, a person immediately feels offended, and that's what happens. I must share this one example with all of you about customs. Okay, I was in the audience at a conference, and there was a panel discussion going on the stage. Okay, this was in UAE, and there was one person who was the moderator. So the moderator was sitting sideways to the audience, and the main panel was facing the audience. And this moderator, I can't show you, but you know how when you put one leg over the other leg and sit like this, you get me what I mean? With the foot, the sole of the shoe facing the audience. The person was just sitting. Guess what? There were a group of people who got offended. They were people who had come from Saudi Arabia. And they say in our culture, to show someone the sole of your shoe is insulting that person. So someone had to go with a little note, crouching on the stage, tell that moderator, put your leg down. And that person had no clue what happened. But can you imagine what happened? Those people were almost on the verge of walking out. So this is a real life example I saw about how culture can break down communication. The receiver is focused on message that he or she wants to send. So I am upset and I want to let you know that now whatever you say, I don't care. This is a classic example of the receiver wanting to say whatever. Or receiver is just hearing this. Don't tell me, you just tell me that you'll do it. Don't make excuses. So now whatever, it's not an excuse, you're explaining genuine. No, just tell me you can do it. And we all do that. We all do that. Emotions that we covered, you're angry, you're happy, etc. If you're not you're sad, something's bothering you, you will be focused on, somewhere else and not on that. Knowledge of other party is discounted. So you come with preconceived notion. What is there? This person, junior person, how will that person know this? Leave it, the person won't know. So now you're not even listening, although that person has something valuable. Response, I have already come pre-planned with how I'm going to respond. And that again happens when you're upset with something. Past experiences. I know that this person, if you don't stop him or her, he or she will continue talking. So I am focused on trying to stop you and not listening to what you're saying. And differing points of view. So I have a complete different view of it, and you have, and I'm not trying to understand your viewpoint. That person is not trying, and we are just keeping on arguing. And of course, the tone is hostile. Where were you this morning? Why did you come so late? Excuse me, sir, at least ask me what happened first before shouting. Now you'll say, forget it, you've already got upset. I don't need to say now why I'm late. Forget it. So, communication breakdown. Language is negative. People of your so-and-so, you start saying like that, you are already this, you are already running down with your language. People like you. What do you mean people like me? You are already using language which emotes negative emotions. Okay, now there's a long list of examples of communication shutdown. We'll just cover some of them. And why I've put this, you can keep on seeing on the screen. Because you, when you're communicating, should know this communication is not working out. As soon as you hear terminology, don't be ridiculous. When will you tell someone don't be ridiculous? Will you say that when you agree? No, always. Or, it will cost too much. Means you have already made up your mind that's a bad idea. It will never sell. It simply can't be done. One which is very insulting. That's not the way we do things around here. So now you're saying there's a we and you. And you're already putting a barrier. Okay? You see these? These are just examples. There's a long list more of these. It's too much of a radical change. So you're saying, I'm close-minded. I like the normal routine way. Sorry, don't come up with all these new funders. It's not really our problem. And versus, it's not my problem. So don't come to me, go away. That's what is being said. It won't work here. Are you crazy? When I tell you that, what am I saying? That you are crazy. I'm not really asking you. So these are some of the ways to recognize, hey, I need to do something. If you really want to continue the communication, you need to start altering. Right? Now, some tips, and these apply equally in the workplace or in your personal space, okay? And here is where I'm going to share that particular, what I call gem of my success. And that goes back to that first question, okay? So first, I'll just give you the general tips that you will, get to read anywhere on the public domain. It is set a positive tone. Always start on a positive way if you want to start a positive conversation. Hey, it's great to see. Thank you so much for accepting it. I'm so glad I could get your time. I'm already praising you, right? Listen attentively, and I won't dwell too much on this right now because we are going to talk about listening. One is, of course, this, but I'm also going to talk about the listening side. One is the sender message, but even from the receiver side. Trust, working relationships, positive. Always tell yourself in an office environment, it's not a one-day relationship. If you are angry with someone, you have to go to work to that place. When your alarm rings in the morning, the first word that comes out from your mouth, if it is a profanity, it means something is wrong with your working relationship. Correct? That should be avoided. So start building positive and tell yourselves, office is not a one-day relationship. It's a long-term, and the only person who can help to improve it is yourself. If you start that way, things will improve. If you say, no, it's that person's fault, let that person improve, nothing will change. Okay? It develop rapport when you start. Talk a little bit about yourself. Hey, that's your background. Wow, that's great, Even I know this. Oh, you hail from this part. Oh, you know something? That's a fantastic. You went to that school. Oh, I've heard so much about it. You went to that, Oh, it's a fantastic university. Something to develop positivity. And when you ask a question, think, phrase it correctly. Think from the point of view that you are asking it, it's clear, you are not in any way, insensitive in your questions, all of that. So think when you do this. Short questions. People understand short questions. Don't ask too many questions at the same time. We can't remember them. Okay? Avoid jargon. If you are in a group of chartered accountants and you say IFRS, most chartered accountants will understand. But you're talking with an engineer in the office. You're talking with HR, and that person now doesn't want to show her or his ignorance. So nods when you say, this is a, and the person says, I have no clue what this person just said. So don't use jargon. Clarify at least one. And last, avoid questions that produce emotional reaction. So you guys normally come late to work, is it? What kind of reaction do you want from someone to that way? Okay? Now, these are what I call normal. The one tip I want to share, which I believe is successful and has an influence on all these factors, is this. I have actually made it a formula. RTA E squared. Now you'll tell me this guy is teaching us algebra or communication. Trust me, there is no algebra here. Okay? What is RTA E squared? The first word I'll give you, R. Respect. Respect. The second is the audience, second and third. Audience means, even when I mean audience, the receiver of the message. It could be one, it could be many, two. I'm just using the generic term audience. Respect the audience. So what could be E squared stand? What could E squared stand for? Each time, every time. Follow this rule for any presentation, any communication. Now I'll put up that slide again. If you respect, you'll set positive tone. You listen, positive working relations, rapport, think question, short, avoid, everything. That is what I call the nucleus of good communication. And this is a terminology which I have devised. Yes, you will read about respect, but I've put it in a slightly catchy way. I can guarantee all of you will go home and at least remember RTAE squared. If you remember this much from today's presentation, trust me, you know respect is at the nucleus. So let me do things. And if in doubt, say, if I wanted to be respected, what would I expect? And then do that. And that will make you successful. Okay? Now, I'll cover certain aspects of this respect the audience. Any comments from the audience so far on RTAE squared?
No comments on RTA square. I just want to pass a message to Savita that her question on practice in Middle East will be answered on 12th. And we have a couple of more questions. Aman is asking that how to see that HR reverts to our communication for opportunities. And Mahesh has a comment that colleagues are normally using communication to make the boss happy. And Aman says, my previous boss used to speak for 3 hours altogether on phone. And Dukta is asking how to react when we receive negative feedback on stage and on stage or public. Yeah.
Okay. I'll answer that. Prabdeep, can we go back to the first one again very quickly? What was it?
Yeah, first one, how HR can revert to our CV, our few tips that HR reverts to our communication.
Okay, now when you are talking about HR, say in this question, is it that you are applying for a job in a company and you don't know HR, or this is in your own company and you are asking HR? Okay, but I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, and you can again ask me. I think what you're saying is when you are sending your CV to HR to various this, and it's there is no response from that.
Yeah, he's saying he has added a point that when emotional questions are asked. So a few tips on that part.
Okay. When emotional questions are asked. So now you are talking about you are an in-house employee, something has come up and HR is avoiding it. Right? See, normally what happens is when does HR not know? Because the person doesn't know whether there is any legal implication. Or the person herself or himself is not clear what is it, or doesn't know whether should commit without checking with the boss. Correct? So, what you do in such cases is clarify. Say, look, I'm not here to create any trouble. I'm just asking as an employee. As an employee, you will agree that I need to know. And of course, you as the HR are expert. Look, if you need to speak to someone to find out, no problem, I'll come back to you. But please, I just want this clarification if you can do that. And go and talk. Sometimes, if the written mail, you get no response, try to talk about it. Try to find out what's the culture. Is there one boss at the top who has said, all communications to employees will be only through me? If that is the case, then talking to HR will not get you result. Then you have to find a way to get to that person who is actually making authority, but without making the HR person feel you're going above her or his head. So say, look, if you want, I can come with you, or I can talk. You tell me whatever works for you. So put it all out there for them. Next question, please.
Yeah. How to react when we receive negative feedback on the stage?
Yes. Okay. I'll tell you, I have received. Someone has stood up and said, I'm sorry, Adil, I don't agree with this. Okay. And how have I responded? I say, hey, I'm so glad that first of all, you are standing up and letting me know. Tell me, what is your viewpoint? Share your viewpoint with me. So the person started explaining. I said, wow, this is brilliant. Can I do one thing? can we meet after my presentation and talk? And you know what? I'll definitely make a note to include this in my presentation. And last, how I made the person feel good, I said, can the audience give so-and-so a big round of applause? This is very useful and will help me improve next time. Easy. That person later on at the end had a different tone. He said, sorry, Adil, I didn't mean to this, but I am very passionate about this. I said, great. And I actually took this on, added it. I said, with your permission, can I update it? He said, you mean to say you're going to include this in your presentation? I said, of course, and I'll give you credit for it. Happy, happy, happy. Great communication. Okay, any other questions before I proceed?
Yeah, sir, time is over, but your last comments on, for HR to respond, because Aman had that question also, and Dharmishra has also asked the same question when we are sending CVs, that how to make it.
Now, I know I got carried away in this, so how much more time can I take?
Yeah, sir, 2-3 minutes you can take, sir.
Oh, 2-3 minutes is not going to cut it.
5 minutes you can take.
Okay, let me try to do it in 5 minutes, and for now I won't take questions. Okay? Yeah. So, remember one thing also for respecting about the law of remembering. Okay? That people remember what is said last. So, if you want to create an impact, say it last. Next, we remember what we hear most often. So, if you want that person to remember, say it 2-3 times. Impact, use tone to this. And of course, there is another presentation on verbal, so I won't dwell on that. But stress on it to let that person know it's important. And we remember things that we have a use for. So, always give examples of something that is useful. Okay? Other points to note is message encoding. Tell yourself when you talk or write, the message you send doesn't mean it's clear and that person will exactly understand it. So what the person processes in her or his mind is the actual message. So tell yourself, always ask for clarity. Message quality, clarity, unambiguous, punctuation. Oh my God. And clarity. I told you I'll give you an example. Look at this sentence. I know that you believe you understand what you think I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is not what I meant. What a convoluted way of saying it, and at the end of it's not clear. Punctuation. A sentence, woman without her man is nothing. You don't know what it means. But if I say woman, without her man is nothing, I'm praising the woman. If I say woman, without her man is nothing, I'm praising the man. Look at this. This is a famous personality who comes in cooking shows, and it says Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking her family and her dog. They forgot to put the punctuation there. Okay? The channel that you use of communication, make sure it's clear. I will skip the video. It was just about that. The video was that, look, if you can walk across, just a few feet and talk to someone in a working environment, avoid sending an email. That is what I was trying to say. I'm going to show you in this video. But it's basically that you can anger someone where the person says, you could have just come to me instead of writing it. I just read. Okay? Other points to note, give feedback, take feedback so that you clarify. And listen and understand what is said and also what is not said. Look at the body language. So, coming to the listening aspect, listening has various definitions. Giving attention, taking notice, responding, making an effort to hear, being alert, etc. A common mistake we all make is we say, open your ears and listen carefully. What is wrong with that is we do not listen with our ears. We hear with our ears, but we listen with our mind, our heart, and even our eyes. So, verbal communication dilemma. Average person speaks at about a rate of 150 words per minute. That's the average. Problem is our brain can actually take in 1,000 words per minute. So now what happens? Gives a lot of extra time while listening. And our brain starts wandering, roaming around, distracting. So does it mean that I should speak very fast so that you can? No. It means I have to look at you, try to keep your attention going in one way or the other, make sure you are interested, etc., so that you don't get bored up. Okay? Effective listening challenge. Remember this, we humans, we forget about half of what we hear immediately after hearing it. This is what research shows. Then it says after 8 hours, we recall only about 35% of what we heard. After 24 hours, we recall only 20%. And of that 20%, only 60% is correct. And we tend to add things. This is research about the human brain and how we do. You know the average attention span of an adult? I was going to ask it as a question, but in this, it used to be 12 seconds in 2000, it's come down to 8 seconds. And it's further declining. And this is because of video and visual, where the picture can say 1,000 words. And that's how you process it so much faster. Effective listening, concentrate on what others are saying. Send a non-verbal, shake your head, smile, avoid early evaluation. And don't get defensive. If you think the person is saying something that's offensive, ask for clarity. A paraphrase. So what you mean is this, and say what that person. And listen and observe for feelings. And lastly, ask questions. Okay? For face-to-face, remember this. 7% of what we communicate is only the verbal. Only 7% of what we communicate is vocabulary. 38% is your inflection. Ladies and gentlemen, that stress I'm putting on, that is 38%. The storekeeper did not provide us the record we asked. That can mean so many. The storekeeper did not provide us. The storekeeper did not provide to us. The storekeeper did not provide the records. The meaning changes as I put stress. 55% of what we communicate is on body language. And last thing, that from home as well as online, remember, all the rules of sending and receiving a message remain the same. While communicating through online media also, try to keep both parties on the video so that you can see each other wherever possible. If it's a large audience, it's lost. And that's why I hate this online thing. And unmute audio only while talking so that, unless you are in a private room with no noise. Where possible, take off your mask, let people see your face. And respect the audience, dress correctly, etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, one last thing I want to tell you about when you go to present, okay? You will prepare, you will rehearse, right? Remember, for every one presentation you make, there are actually 3 presentations. You'll say, how come? The first one is the one you practiced. The second is the one you made. And the third is the one you wish you had made. Meaning it didn't go so well. So there are 3 things for every great presentation. Thank you very much, ICAI. Thank you very much. I know I exceeded my time. Thank you for that. And any other questions, I'm happy to answer. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for all your support and being here, sharing very effective tips on communication and taking out time. And big thanks from all the participants who have sent so many notes of how much they enjoyed and how much beneficial it is to them. There are some questions which are still to be answered, but as we don't have time, so we will try to help those answer with other speakers as we move.
I'll even volunteer one thing for my fellow CA colleagues. Send your questions to Prabdeep. Prabdeep can send them to me. Send me your email ID. I'll reply.
Yeah. So this is confirmed to all whose questions have been left. Their email IDs are with me. I will share with you, sir, and you can answer them privately.
And
Thank you
if
so much.
any of you are in UAE, please reach out to Prabdeep and you can even call me.
Yeah,
As
I
I
don't
said-
think any. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, all of you, and it was great addressing all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I trust it was an informative and engaging session, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was
Thank
indeed.
you.
Absolutely, it was indeed. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I shall take your leave now, and thank you.
Yeah.
And I wish you all good success in the rest of the conference. Thank you all. Take care and have a nice
Thank
day.
you, sir.
And Eid Mubarak in advance to my listeners and to all of you. Okay?
Thank
you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Yeah. Right. So we move on now quickly to our next session by Mr. Sujit Sukumaran. And Sujit Sukumaran is a management professional with a background in management, consulting, HR, and academia, with 14 years of experience with the companies in the banking, insurance, telecom, and manpower service fields. He currently runs his own firm, Optimus Management Consultants India. He is also a two-time TEDx speaker, award-winning debate coach, and a university professor at the University of West London, where he teaches business law, strategic management, new venture development, and project management. He was named last year as one of the 40 under 40 in the UAE's poll on entrepreneurs and is also a recipient of the Zayed Award for Community Initiatives and Rehabilitation and Initiative of the Zayed, the Inspirer Movement. He also acts as a disability rights advocate and serves as a trustee on several non-profit boards on matters of policy. I know Sujit since last 10 years, where Sujit is a distinguished Toastmaster. And we have worked together on many assignments in Toastmasters. I was just asking him that he hasn't mentioned anything about Toastmasters in his profile, and he said that it's long back. But recently, from April, he has taken over as a regional advisor of one of the 14 regions in Toastmasters International. So one of the top 30 leadership roles of an organization which has around 400,000 members spread over 150 countries. So he is occupying that position. We were together working in when he was a district director of the largest Toastmasters district, having more than 350 clubs spread over 7 countries in the Middle East. So please help me welcome Sujit with a big round of virtual applause. Sujit, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Prabdeep, and my thanks to ICAI and the Committee for Members in Industry and Business, specifically the Chairman, CA Hansraj Chugh, and the Vice Chairman, Durgesh Kabra, for conceiving this wonderful event. It's always great to network with chartered accountants in the faculty, and more so for new chartered accountants, because we are at a very interesting juncture where many things are going digital. There's a paradigm shift in practice and industry. And there's been a shift in how people are perceiving chartered accountancy as a profession as well, per se. Many young people are now coming with a lot of multiple talents. And CA just happens to be one of the things they are passionate about. So, thank you for having me here. I'll now share my screen. I hope, is it visible to everybody?
Yes, Sujit, it's
One second,
yeah.
Are you able to see the PowerPoint has come on now?
Yeah, PowerPoint
yes, it is visible. It is visible, yes.
Okay.
Fine.
So, today's session is a session which I conceived some time ago, because a lot of hullabaloo was being made about the pandemic and COVID and post-COVID and pre-COVID and what's going to happen. But actually speaking, a lot of things have happened in the last 1 year, and which nobody could have envisaged in March 2020. When they traveled, nobody could say that there could be a future where we could be sitting at home and working from home and doing all things without going to four walls of the office. It is in these times that probably the batches in November have now graduated, gone to their first jobs and all that. So during the course of today's session, of the 45 minutes allocated to me, I'll probably take a small lecture of around 25 to 30 minutes. I'll probably give you 10 to 15 minutes to ask your questions. We'll also have a small activity if you want to have a look and explore about yourself. So first thing, when you, despite the pandemic or otherwise, whenever you get into doing something, especially career-wise, the why, what, and the how is very important. Do you want to do what you want to do, and why do you want to do it? Obviously, it's quite late to ask that question with respect to a chartered accountancy qualification, because most of you have already completed qualifying. But now that you are qualified chartered accountants, what is it that you want to do with the profession, with the practice, and with the qualification over the next 4 to 5 years? I've been associated with the GMCS coaching for the institute for the last 4 years now, and many a time I've come across fellow students, graduates who are just clearing final or almost in their final stages, multiple attempts of final, saying that the main thing I want in my life is to somehow clear CA, and then what? No, then I'm done. Like I'm tired, like I'm finished. Then I want to go for a job and be peaceful. The fun fact is, life actually starts after the qualification. The qualification is a pinnacle of a mountain, yes, definitely, but that is among the first mountains that you're going to climb in your life. There are many, many more summits that you will climb from then on and thereof. So that is why it is very important in these times to have a very, very long perspective vision. Despite things being very short-sighted nowadays and highly agile, still you need to make a plan and stick to it. So the why, what, and how of what you're going to do with your careers is very important. No matter, you may not have a choice in your first job, okay, because there are very few lucky people. There are some gifted souls. It's also a thing of karma. Some people are so lucky they get their first break with a big four or with a model firm that they want to get into. Some things go smooth. For some others of us, we take what we get and we try to still make it happen. That's not wrong, but if your why is strong and if you do your R&D, now the beautiful part with the economy is that because of the digital tools that you have, like Adil was saying, anybody can reach out to anyone, and if the communication is right, you might end up, getting things that you never intended for. I was yesterday looking at my Twitter feed and somebody had put out a tweet to Mr. Velumani of Thyrocare saying that he had put out a Mother's Day post like, I've come from a very poor background and that time I didn't have people except my mother with me. Now I'm ultra rich, but I don't have my mother with me, but I have a lot of other people. If anybody is similarly struggling like me, who is a bachelor and who needs any kind of assistance, please contact me. I can get you food and accommodation and all that. So one gentleman, he said, sir, my name is so-and-so, I am from Bombay. I am a bachelor. I've just come from my village and I'm struggling to make ends meet. I don't have means to survive anymore in Bombay because whatever money I had, I've exhausted it. And I'm struggling for food also. You know what happened? In 5 minutes, Mr. Velumani put his WhatsApp number on Twitter and he said, please reach out to me. I will ensure you have a place to stay in the next 24 hours. Not only that, after you freshen up, day after tomorrow, please come to the Thyrocare office in Bombay. If you are qualified, we have a job for you also. Like miracles happen, and this story was later picked up by news outlets and that guy went viral, and of course the rest is history. But the question is, The only thing that's stopping you from achieving what you want is not your talent or caliber. My father used to always tell me, there are two things you need to be successful. One, you need to be shameless. The other thing, you need to be fearless. What I mean is, you need to be shameless in such a way that you don't mind asking anyone for any kind of help. Keep your ego at the doorstep. Keep all your titles away. And when you go and ask with the humility of a baby, you will end up getting it. Then you need to be fearless. If it scares you, that is the thing you should do. You should never, like half of the people, like I'd like to congratulate all of you who have cleared your chartered accountancy, because a lot of people, they feel scared seeing the qualification requirements itself. Some of them give up midway. Some of them have other priorities. They drop out. How many people do you know are inters for a very, very long time and then they don't want to do the qualification after that? The fact that you chose it, the fact that you chose to stick with it, and the fact that you graduated is a great achievement in itself. So it takes a lot of different DNA to be shameless and fearless, and people who commit to keeping on asking, keeping on improvising, and keeping on being, in a way that I don't have any ego and I don't mind asking anyone and I don't mind reinventing and trying out new things. These are the guys who will eventually succeed in an agile and uncertain world. Case in point is that we also have chartered accountants who today have nothing to do with chartered accountancy. Like, for example, Mani Ratnam is a chartered accountant. Shekhar Kapoor is a chartered accountant, but they are into filmmaking. So that's the third lesson. You might be a chartered accountant, but your heart might be that of a film actor or a cinema director or whatever it might be. It's okay to follow your passion, but for that you need to know what your why and what and how is. That's very, very important. So now you're like, okay, Sujit, you have told us all these things. It's very passionately motivating, very nice. But what do I do with this kind of data? How do I understand what kind of a person I am, whether I have that ability or not? Now, this is an open test anybody can take. I will give you around 2 minutes. Even Prabdeep and the adults also can do this. Even the seasoned chartered accountants can take this test. Out of these 4 figures, what I want you to do is put a number value to each of these 4 figures, like whichever appeals to your mind first. Okay, some people, for me, for example, my 1 is the triangle and my number 2 is the scribble, my number 3 is the circle, and my number 4 is the square. So depending on the sequence, take 2 minutes and mark a number value to it. Now on the clock it is 5:37. I'll give you till 5:38.
Sujit, this 5:37 time is from UAE, where you're
okay,
watching,
yeah.
but
So it is
everyone's from India.
Yeah, so take a minute on your clock in the Indian clock.
Yeah.
And once I receive the thumbs up from Prabdeep, then I can tell you what these figures,
Right.
what these figures mean. Once I receive the thumbs up, randomly what I want you to do is, don't think about it. Whatever clicks in your mind first, right? Take that as your number 1. Second best one, take it as your number 2. Third best one, take it as your number 3. Fourth best one, take it as your number 4. When I interview people, I often use this test, because it is a test which is beyond language and intelligence and ability. It's a kind of psychometric test. Very interesting one.
Yeah, so time is over, Sujit.
Done. Okay. I will now tell you what the figures mean, but don't change your figures, okay? Just keep the answers with you. So, what the figures mean are as follows. So, if you are a person who chose the circle first, you are a guy or a girl or a lady or a man who needs love and affection, reassurance, constant encouragement. You are a team player and a family person. So these are the kind of guys who need to be nurtured. They need to be mentored. These are the kind of guys who are also the caretakers in a team. They are absolute delights to have in the office, because they are the guys who will always protect the weak guy and ensure the assignments are done, things like that. Square is somebody who is mathematical, orderly, quite perfectionist, loves analysis, thinks in numbers and grids. Now, some of you are qualified chartered accountants. If you don't get the square, don't worry. That doesn't mean your numerical faculties are out of order. It just means that your inherent instinct may be something which is more creative or more dynamic. Those who have the triangle figure as their number 1, These guys are usually figures of dominance. These are the kids when we used to play in the mohalla, we'll be, okay, let us play chore police and I will be the police and somebody else will be the chore all the time. Or if I'm playing gully cricket, I will get the first batting all the time. These are the natural born leaders. You cannot keep them down in a crowd. They will seek greatness or greatness will come to them in some way or the other. And they have natural crisis management abilities. On the loft side, the triangle people, the problem is sometimes they're quite aggressive. They speak their mind. They're very frank, and sometimes they can be autocratic also in organizations. So that's usually some weird bosses are always like that. So triangle guys mean that. And lastly is the scribble. If you chose this, you are creative. You don't like routine. You often think out of the box. You are emotional and you can have eccentric or differential intelligences, meaning that you might be a chartered accountant by profession, but you might have some unique talent or skill which is quite far away from accounting and numbers and grids. So think about it, and when you go home today, when you take a blank sheet of paper, I want you to put your official signature on it also. You will find the figures which you chose, right? It will be showing somewhere in your signature for sure. Because that's how this test is coded. So if you have chosen triangle and scribble like me, you will have these two figures in your official signature. So that's how you know whether the figures you chose are correct or not. I hope this is useful. Sometimes if you are looking for the correct people to work for in the correct assignment on the team, it will help if you have people who are aligned to your figures. There will be less disagreements and less fights. It's a very quick back of the envelope or a tissue box calculation you can do. It immediately yields results by telling you whether the person is diametrically opposite you or has some congruencies with you. So when you come to looking at strategies, that in terms of what you can do with your career, this PPE system, now PPE is an acronym I thought about a couple of months ago, because when this pandemic happened, the personal protective equipment became all the rage. But this PPE is not like that. Now that you are a chartered accountant, think about it. What do you want to do with the profession? First thing, challenge areas where you are not strong. That you select and allocate a particular time unit to that each and every day. If you feel your communication skills are not strong, find out a mentor, join a Toastmasters club or any kind of organization where you can get these skills first hand. Professional, for example, to hone the skills required in your profession. Now that you have done CA, that is more of an Indian qualification. If you are looking to go global, you want to look at other accounting qualifications across other faculties, you can think about what all tie-ups does the institute have with other institutions, where can you leverage up, what kind of exemptions can you get, how can you beef up your entire qualification repertoire so that your business card reads in a very fancy way in the next 4 or 5 years. And also within the discipline itself, rather than getting a superficial helicopter view of the topics that you've cracked in your CA exam, if you're within audit or if you're within core finance or whatever subsection of finance you're in, how can you get better at that? For example, now with the digital transformation mandate coming in, there's a lot of thrust on data analytics, business intelligence, creation of predictive modeling and all those kind of things, which are very closely related to finance and probably will be the last to be automated by way of robotic process automation. So you must have known that many of the world's finance experts are talking about mundane, repetitive accounting tasks being automated very soon in the future, like robots are going to come and take our jobs. But there are still many areas of jobs which robots can't touch, which require cognitive faculties, and that is the area where you should think of moving or migrating slowly into once you've made your core foundation in a discipline that you want to make your bread with. The last one is to polish the skills you are already good at. And I tell you this without exception, that all of you who are listening to this talk today, each one of us have some superstar skill which is something like our subconscious competence. Like some of you are very good at numbers. The moment you scan the financials, you can immediately find out where the issues are, and it works like clockwork. It's like you're listening to this session right now and you are breathing also side by side, but you're not paying attention to the fact that you're breathing, right? It's just going as a mechanical process. So find out very early in your profession or your career what your matrix is with regards to personal versus professional versus excellence. Put buckets into each of those activities. Pick out at least one activity for 3 to 6 months and work on that in one of these areas. And then you will start seeing massive progress. Now, the next thing you need to look at is, if you look at the diagram on the right, it's called the ICAI diagram, which is the Japanese philosophy of equilibrium or being happy in life. Ikigai says that the sweet spot is where the 4 things of passion, mission, profession, and vocation come together. So it's a combination of what you're good at, what you love, what you are paid for, and what the world needs. If you're a fortunate person who belongs to the top 3% of the world, who can make all these 4 things come together in what you do for a living, it's amazing. Like, I've been in business for the last 5 years. I've worked for around 12, 13 years before that. And I can tell you, after seeing the last 5 years, despite being an entrepreneur, despite having ups and downs, the fun fact of not having to report to a boss or, be afraid of getting sacked or some kind of volatility happen in the market, it's a great thrill that I often wish, why hadn't I done this earlier? Of course, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but find your mojo, find your core activity, and then ensure that you plunge headlong into that. It will take a couple of years. Even until a decade in corporate career, I never had the guts to start a business. And sometimes now I think in hindsight, after completing 5 years, why didn't I do this earlier? But don't worry, there is always plenty of time. Like they say, 60 is the new 40, 40 is the new 20. So as long as you know where you're going and as long as you know what you want, it's never too late to start. As long as you have started, you are far ahead of somebody who's only thinking about it in their mind. So ascertain what you're going to get out of any course or any kind of initiative that you undertake. Be very aggressive in tracking your time. Like being a management consultant in the past, we used to have this timesheet exercise. After I became an entrepreneur, I shifted the timesheet, and what I do nowadays is I aggressively journal. I have an app which meticulously targets and gives me estimates of how many minutes I have spent on what program and all those kind of things, and it tells me where I can optimize my time better. And every day when I write that journal in the evening, I look at it from a point of view, what did I do for my mental health today that improved my quality of living? What did I do for my physical health today that improved my quality of living? So every day I go to the gym or I go to the pool and I swim or I have the weights for a couple of hours. What did I do for my communication skills that improved me better than what I am today? Did I innovate in any of the processes that I have done? Like, did I learn something new in a new method of how to do this that saved my time? And lastly, what new skill or piece of information or learning did I learn today compared to yesterday? There's a beautiful book called The Atomic Habits by James Clear, which I will tell you, I have a set of books in the end. I will show you the pictures of them. And in that book, he says, if you improve even like by 1% every week, at the end of 48 weeks, you are around like 48, in a year, you are like 48% improved in that area over the next whole year. It's sort of like value investing. We talk about, investing in stocks, buy right and sit tight. Question is, are you doing the right things in your career and sitting tight on that, improving every day so that you can beat you in subject matter expertise, depth of knowledge, or even networking skill? And I can tell you, networking is one skill, it's very, very vital. Like your network is today your net worth. If you know people, it's not what you know. Of course, that is 60%. But who you know is the other 40%, which is extremely important. Sometimes one phone call, like the advertisement says, an idea can change your life. Same way, one phone call can change many people's life, provided you have the right people on your phone book. So try to use every bit of time, you can. You have 86,400 seconds a day. Try to use every second assiduously to hone the skills required in your profession, or it's not taboo anymore, or in a side hustle. So main thing is, don't marry your job, marry your skill, because your job can replace you, but if you are skilled in the domain that you are skilled in, you will always find somewhere else to work, or you can even go ahead and launch your own thing. And all the initiatives that you get into, the CPEs, the seminars, the networking events or university courses you undertake, you don't go there for studying. Actually, you go there for learning from people, interacting with them, and coming back with the experience and being richer in the long run. That is what you should use it for. And that is the key thing that you need to look at. Whenever I get into something, why am I getting into it? Because if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to reach anywhere. Very simple. Pradeep, are there any questions at this point of time?
Yes, we have, Sujit, couple of questions. I'll just read out quickly. First, there's a comment by Dharmishta. She was very happy with that exercise of signature part. And Srishri is asking name of general PI. If you can share. I'm not sure whether it's PI or PL. Yeah. Aman is asking, can you share how to network? He's saying that it's very difficult normally to connect with people altogether.
See, the thing is, Aman's question was the only one which is clear to me. The other one I didn't understand.
We can ask Srishti to please type again. And Aman has extended it further. What should be the time to follow up on network? 15 or 20 days or 2 or 3 months? If you can share tips.
Okay, Aman, you're getting it wrong. Forget about even sending anything. First of all, what you are doing essentially in networking is you are selling yourself. Question is, do you know your value and what are you selling? That should be first established. When we analyze financial statements of a company, we know what is the assets, liabilities, depreciation, etc., etc. We are very thorough. But if I ask you as a person to put a dollar value or a rupee value to everything that you have in your body and your brain and whatever, all your talents and all that, what is the asset value that you will ascribe to yourself? Is it 1 crore rupees, 10 crore rupees, 100 crore rupees, or whatever it is? You have to ascertain that value first. What are my skills? What am I trying to convey to the person that I am going to network with? Second, you need to ascertain something called what is your OVP or your online value proposition. If you approach me with some solicitation, like I am recently passed out CA, I am looking for a job, immediately I get 10,000 of these requests every day. I will not pay attention to it because I don't have time. What makes you different from the other 9,999 people who have probably given me the same LinkedIn invite? Rather, if you catch up with me with a networking pitch and you tell me, see, this is who I am, this is what I'm good at, and I've actually studied your company, and I think that you have these gap areas, and I think I can do something in this area for you because I've done X, Y, Z in the past. Then you're talking. Then you're like, okay, now this guy has brought something to the table which I'm interested in looking at, rather than just asking me for, something which I can provide where there is no value for me. Always when you network, be somebody of value so that you can be valued and deemed as valuable. So that is very important. Then automatically, see, always, even for me as a entrepreneur and a salesperson, when I reach out to prospects, I tell them where their problems are. I ask them where their pain points are. Then only I ask for something, because they'll be like, okay, this guy is coming to help us. He has a solution for us. Chalo, now only thing that is remaining is to put a monetary value to that. Do not beg for anything, because the moment you ask and request, you're like begging, can you help me? And like, for what I should help you? What is it in you that needs to be helped? What is the wow factor? Bring something onto the table. Like, I always remember my mother, she's very good at this. She used to say, whenever you go to somebody's house, never go empty-handed. Always take a small gift. I'm like, for what? Why do we need this formality? No, if you take the gift and go, they will be very relaxed with you and they will feel nice about you. They will remember you. Like this is, I'm talking about 10, 15 years back. Now this thing is happening in networking place. Like, there's a wonderful book called Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, where he says that, Give them something so that you will eventually get something back. There's something called the law of reciprocity. When you give me something of value, I am automatically interested to take a look at you rather than just a brazen soliciting pitch. So that is the way you should look at. What is your OVP? Value yourself, then stake that value. Your inbox will be flowing with connect requests.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, Sujit, Srishti has clarified. She is saying that on daily basis you replaced journaling with timesheet. So she was talking about that. And Aman has further extended his question, and he is saying that if I'm just a fresher, how can I expert and suggest solutions as you
suggested? The thing is, there is no need for you to be an expert to suggest solutions. I can tell you there is a wonderful story of a person who used to sell samosas at Shivaji Park, who used to look at Sachin's batting and tell him that this is where you're going wrong because I've been seeing the swings all day. And believe it or not, Sachin actually went and changed his grip. And it is from that change of the grip that he eventually started getting his lofted shots. So if a samosa wala can tell the greatest batsman in the world on how to change his grip, I don't think you need deep expertise. Sometimes your lack of expertise is your weapon because you will not think in a boxed format. Like think different. Like if you want something or if you need to get something which is quite generic, how do you do it? You go and like think about, for example, Aman, if you are wanting to check out a girl, you will not go and do a PhD on that girl and then try to patavify her. You will try to find out what her interests are. Where does she come from? What is the common ground between me and her? Then only you will say hi. So do that kind of simple common sense level research. Even the person you are sending the networking request to, if he is the CEO, he is not expecting you have CEO level knowledge. But at least tell him why you want to work there or why you want to connect with him and what you feel you can add value to that transaction, why he should pay attention to you. Automatically you will get traction. What was Sharmishta's question again? Prabhu?
No, Srishti, your how you use
your
journaling. You know, you replace timesheet, no? So if you can throw some light on it so that they can practice.
For journaling, I have 4 buckets. One is mental, then is physical, then is academic, and then is relational. Mental, physical, academic, relational. So mental means, okay, what all kind of irritating habits did I have? Like, did I shout at my baby today? Did I get into a fight with my wife today? Did I get upset because some of my clients were fighting with me today? How could I avoid that? Tomorrow, how can I be a better, cooler, calmer person than I was today as an entrepreneur? This is my mental area. Am I getting any fear or negative thoughts that business may not be great tomorrow? I will observe all these things very clinically. That's the mental part. Then physical part. Every day when I take bath, I go to the bathroom, take a dump, everything finished. When I'm standing in my underclothes, I'll get the bathroom scale and I will see what is my weight today, what is my weight yesterday, and what did I eat, how is my diet. Because one thing is, if you are not fully fit and you are not having a balanced diet, no way you can excel in your profession. I do not believe in pumping 20-21 hours and sacrificing your sleep for 3 hours and killing yourself. It will not show now, but in 40-45 years, you will get a cardiac arrest. It's a loss to the nation that you're a chartered accountant, you get a cardiac arrest and pass away at the age of 40-45. Not worth it. Take care of yourself because your entire family, the company and the nation is dependent on you. We did not educate a chartered accountant to get stressed and die at the age of 45-50. Now even before that you might die. COVID is just around the corner. Wear your mask, wash your hands, do due diligence. Number 3 is academic. Every month, whatever I earn from the business, I take a salary and I at least put 10-15% of that reinvested into some learning. I attend a lot of webinars, I attend a lot of workshops because in my profession, I meet a lot of people who actually give me business. And to be able to talk their language, I need to know something about their domain. That is only possible if I step out of my comfort zone and keep learning. Today, the beauty is you can sit wherever you are, wherever in the world and learn whatever it is at a fraction of the cost because most of the education sessions or the seminars and webinars have gone online. What you what used to cost tens of thousands of dollars are only hundreds of dollars now. Like, I'm not really bothered about the certificate so much as I get the knowledge. Once we get the knowledge, do short-term projects, list it on LinkedIn, and then start selling yourself. Has a massive impact. Like, I actually learned legal drafting over the last 6 months because there was a course in one of the UK universities. They said, would you like to learn contracts law and drafting? I said, okay, fine, fair enough, because I'm already teaching business law at a university. Turns out that Al-Tamimi needed here a finisher who was able to vet and draft contracts in Arabic. And I decided to give it a go. Today, 6 months later, I am clearing quite a lot of contracts for them. And I'm not a qualified lawyer. It's just because I took that course, I got the exposure, I was able to get it. So main thing is be open to new experiences. Don't be rigid, be flexible. Last bucket is relationship. Like, very simple. How many calls did I make to my parents today? How many people did I upset? How many people did I make them smile today? What did I do today that I can go to sleep peacefully, that I did one good job for the day? Like, luckily, Prabdeep, I know he is into a lot of service related activities and all that. So I also think, okay, what can I do for the people today that when I sleep, okay, if I die today also, people say this was a good man and he did something good. And I can tell you, pay it forward. You will not realize the power of it. But even if you have, see, the rich man is not the guy who has crores and gives 1% of that as charity. If you have something and you give 50 to 60% of that as charity, that is called richness, because you know that it can still be created. I will still live another day and achieve greatness. So go for that. A small scale report of the World Economic Forum, not very interesting, but we'll just go through it. Talks about the top 10 emerging professions, more into analytics and operations and big data and all that. Power BI is a solid thing you can master in your profession right now, and a lot of analytics softwares are available which are becoming the future of accounting and the financial profession. And if you're able to break down complex data and put them into understandable story-based dashboards, you are the king. Like now, in most of the big organizations, there are people called Chief Data and Digital Officers, CDDOs. And you know what? Most of the fantastic CDDOs across the world have a chartered accountancy background. They have made the successful shift from being a CA to a data guy. And these guys are rare species. Like I know people who are data scientists with a chartered accountancy background, young chaps getting 40,000-50,000 dirham salary here per month, because you are not finding people like that. It's very rare to find in that skill set. And plus, if you know a foreign language, you know French or you know Arabic, game over. Like they will come, they will pack you in golden cover and they will bring you here. It's that much lucrative. So think different, think out of the box. If you do conventional things, you will only get conventional opportunities. So one of the other things you can do is take this test. There is an organization called Gallup. Of course, they are not paying me to recommend this. I am not an affiliate in any way. But I have taken this test. Actually, I was recommended to take this test by a good CA friend of mine, Hemant Mundra. He told me this is a wonderful test. So I took it, and I found there were a lot of things that I didn't know about myself. It's a pretty reasonably priced test, somewhere around $50. So it's a 136 question test. Do not take it unless you have at least 3 hours to sit in one place and honestly answer the questions. But the quality of the report which comes out, you will be surprised. My God, I have so many weaknesses. These are my good strength areas. You will get to know a lot of it by doing the Gallup. It's called the Gallup Strengths Finder test. You can definitely take it. So in conclusion, before I actually sign off, I want to take you through 2 more slides. One is how to stand out in the pandemic. Quite interesting. One thing is develop your personal brand. Have the OVP or the online value proposition. Whatever digital media you have, LinkedIn is the number one. Then followed by Instagram or Facebook or whatever you want, or even Twitter if you want to get on it. Because that's the first thing that people will check about you if you are somebody. Leverage digital outlets. Be a master of emailing. This was taught to me by one of the American friends of mine. This guy sends at least 50 to 60 emails a day, not more than 2 to 3 lines long. But it's a professional pitch. And he's like, you have to work on yourself like a salesman would sell the product. Only difference is you are the product in this case. And if the product is good, the salesman doesn't need to sell. So concentrate on making the product good. So leverage digital outlets. Cultivate a side hustle. Don't depend only on your job. Tomorrow, if the job tells you we are laying off people, what is your plan B? Now, I have done so many things. I do voiceovers, I write content, I advise on digital marketing strategy, I also teach. So for me personally, even if Optimus, touch wood, it shouldn't happen like that, but even if Optimus core revenues go down tomorrow, I can make enough money to definitely pay my employees' salaries for the next 6 months through the other things that I do, because all my eggs are not in one basket. So see what you are passionate about. Try to keep at least one or two. Like for example, my sister, she's a dentist, but she's also a highly paid artist. She draws a lot of paintings and some of them have been auctioned. She makes a lot of money. She does only 4 or 5 pieces a year, but she has exhibitions and she does amazing stuff like that. So what is your unique skill? Suppose you look good, like there are some CAs who are very handsome or they are looking good. You can also model. Huh? By the way, now virtual modeling is also happening. You can go for product shoots and this, that, nobody's stopping you. Then devote time to multiple streams of learning. The more you learn, very simple, the more you earn. So I have seen, unfortunately, this is a little old generation. People will be, not spending money on learning. They will say, yaar, ye to free mein mil sakta hai. Why should we pay money for this? Understand one thing. It's my principle. You may not agree with it, but I'm telling you something what my father has said. Food, medicine and education. In this order. Food, medicine and education. As far as possible, even if you get it for free, try to give it back to somebody or repay it in some way. Because if you get it fully for free, you will not get the benefit of it. Work hard for your food, work very, very hard for your education, and be grateful to the people who take care of your health and give you medical treatment. Because if you pay for it and if you earn these 3 things, nobody else can take them away from you. Now, lastly, these are the books, what I can recommend. You can take a screenshot of this. All are wonderful books. This is a small selection, but there's also a website called pdfdrive.net. If you don't want to buy the book, PDF copies are available. So I just download the PDF copies and I take notes about what are the key learnings from this, and then I try to apply them in my life. Understand one thing, knowledge is not power. Application of knowledge is power. And over time, accrued application leads to wisdom. You will find that over time, you will talk less and observe more, and that is when the interesting part starts. This slide talks about some massive open online courses. Nowadays, most of the Ivy League finance courses are freely available. In fact, if you're passionate about valuation and all, Professor Ashwath Damodaran has beautiful podcasts talking about enterprise valuation, all free. And most of the Ivy League universities have now made all their course curriculum free also. Only thing, you will not get a certificate, but it's as good as sitting in Harvard or Wharton or whatever. You can look at podcasts if you're interested in business, such as HBR, Dirhams and Dollars, Business Breakfast. These are HBR is international, the other 2 are UAE based. Reading also, at least read 3 newspapers a day. You know why? Because today the media is very political. You never know who's telling the truth. So read at least 3 newspapers, out of which at least 1 or 2 should be business related ones, so that you know what's happening in the economy. Studying should continue until you die. Otherwise you will be outdated. And if you are a fan of reading magazines, I subscribe to this website called magstar.com. They have more than 6,000 plus magazines of different types, especially for Indian financial magazines. A lot of collections are available here. Sitting in Dubai, I don't get access to those, so I read them online. So these are some of my thoughts on how you can actually make yourself bulletproof during a changing economic time. So that's it from me. I can take questions now if you have them.
Yeah. Just one question only, Sujit, before you go. You were speaking about a role in technology, I think CDBO.
CDDO, Chief Digital and Data Officer.
So if you can throw some light on that, because there was a question around it. That how they
what was the question, Pradeep? Just to throw light, or they?
Throw a full form and to explain a bit about it.
Okay, see, there are basically, see, if you look at the old generation where they had technology, there was a role called CIO or CTO, which is the Chief Information Officer or the Chief Technology Officer. This guy was the guy who was looking at the infrastructure development, the periphery platforms, infrastructure, the whole strategy of how to usher the organization into the next level of technology and all that. Now what has happened is the focus has changed from the hard peripheral software levels and hardware levels to more online and e-based outlets. Most of the businesses are now shifting to e-commerce. Data of customers are being harvested, and it is that data which is giving business insights and all that. So now they have combined those roles into people who also understand digital and data technologies as well. And there, most of the times I can see companies like Unilever and other big companies like Kraft or anybody in the FMCG space especially, most of the CFOs are the guys who have done additional data qualifications and become CDDOs, because by nature, they know how to analyze numbers. Now they just need to plug in data and the numbers, and then they will get a whole new different picture. So there are 4 things which are happening now. There is somebody called a CDDO, which is the Chief Data Data and Analytics Officer. You have the CIDO, which is the Chief Information and Data Officer, called the CIDO. You have the CDMO, which is the Chief Data and Marketing Officer. This is the person who will decide which markets to go into at what time and all that. And then you have an interesting chap called the Chief Investments and Data Officer, which is a very rare thing. These kind of guys are usually found in family offices, public listed companies, venture capital funds of all the big multi-billionaires, and they will decide, okay, like for example, SoftBank and all has somebody like this, and they decide, okay, where to get into, what investments will give us 10%, 100%, 1000%, 10,000% return in so and so number of times. So it's a very interesting domain. These are new professions which are even new in the West. It will take some more time for it to come into India and the Middle East and all that. But as we speak, all the NYSE and LSE listed top 5, top 10 companies have now created these positions. So slowly, I am very sure that the multinational organizations of India will also have these positions coming very soon in our country after the regulatory bottlenecks are cleared. So for new chartered accountants, what I would suggest is pick up something in digital data and modeling. It will definitely help you in the long run.
See, our participants are the maximum questions every day is from technology. And we are also taking efforts to tell more and more about technology. And thank you so much for so insightful address. Where there are some questions which are left out, I will share with you with their email addresses. So when you get time, you can just address it. I can also send or you can send. So apologies for those speakers, for those participants whose questions are left, because already we are 10 minutes late. And thank you so much, Sujit. Mr. Ranganathan, quickly, any word of thanks you wish?
Just one word of thanks to you. Within the short time, you covered one of the most important subjects as to what are the emerging areas available. Thank you so very much for a very wonderful session.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure is all mine. Yeah.
Thank you.
All the best. All the best to all of you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sujit. So I would like to tell the participants that Sujit is always available, very helpful, and anytime he is very much loved by the students here in UAE. And today we got opportunity to have Sujit for everyone. So thanks, Sujit. Thanks. And
thank you, Pradeep, and thanks to the committee. Yeah. See you soon.
Thank you. So we now move on to our third session of the day, where we have one of the most popular member in the media industry, and CA Amit Arora, based in New Delhi. CA Amit is a member with 20 years of experience and specializing as an anchor in TV and radio programs. He is associated with public broadcasters, Doordarshan and All India Radio, and has been a frequently heard voice in Independence Day, Republic Day, Olympics, cricket commentary, and interviews of various personalities. He is a financial management specialist with the United Nations. There are a lot of students who have connected with C.A. Amit in the past and have listened to him, and today we are getting an opportunity to listen to him again, and I'm keenly looking forward to his session. And please help us welcome C.A. Amit with a big virtual round of applause. And thank you so much, Amit ji, for being here with us again today, and wishing you very best for making that difference which you always make, and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, C.A. Prabdeep, for your generous, kind words. I like the way you say, give a huge virtual round of applause. In as much as we wish that the COVID pandemic gets over and we can hear this applause in some hall or the auditorium, but still virtual applause, virtual welcome, virtual interaction is the order of the day. And even if I sound repetitive, I would start by saying that we pray for everybody's well-being. Pandemic is still not over. We are seeing the second wave in India. The experts last week in a press conference did mention of the possibility of the third wave. 100 years back, if we can take lessons from the Spanish flu, 4 waves had come. So let us ensure that while governments of different nations will do their best, the United Nations will do their best, yet it is upon us as an individual responsible citizen of planet Earth that we have the mask on. In fact, like I told you earlier, these days when we are reading news, we are having mask on. In fact, on DD News, every news reader is reading news, putting the mask on. It's very challenging. It's not easy in the studios to read news with mask on, but we're doing it. And in fact, in some of our programs, we are double masking. So we have to put the mask on. We should have the sanitizer. Whenever you get the chance, wash your hands properly in running water. And if you're eligible, like in India now, 18 plus age group is eligible, please do take the vaccine. I've taken the vaccine, not to tell you that I'm in the 18 plus age group, but it's just that it is necessary. It provides protection. And most of all, keep a good mental health. Sometimes, panic may set in. Trust me, nature knows what's happening. And I'm very sure that humanity knows how to save itself. So we will emerge stronger. So with that words, let me just say thank you to ICAI. It is always a pleasure to be associated with your alma mater. It's been 20 years that I passed out as a chartered accountant. And while I prefix CA, but I went into journalism, I do benefit a lot from my studies that I did in the CA. But when I did qualify as a CA, I did work as a chartered accountant in the initial years. And I remember my first job was with the American Red Cross. I hadn't heard about Red Cross till then. But then what was my experience with my first job? And if today's session is titled A to F of first job. So far, I remember when Prabdeep ji or Ranganathan ji mentioned any session for me, we mostly do interview. So let me begin by saying congratulations. We've gone one step further. You've cracked the interview. Now the candidate, the CA person is in the first job. So today, over the course of next 90 minutes, I'll share my experience of what you need to be careful of in the first job. So thank you to the committee for members in industry and business. This is a beautiful vision of the chairman of the committee, CA Hansraj Chog, and the vice chairman, CA Durgesh Kabra ji, to have a 6-day executive development program. Just a few days back, we had a 7-day executive development program. And I think the audience who's watching us live, they really like this series. It is almost becoming a norm that every evening you look forward to this. And I'm sure Ranganathan ji, after 6 days of the 7th day, people will miss you, will miss Prabdeep ji, the virtual applause that he always asks for. But I'm very sure that in few days, again, Ranganathan ji will work out something and come back based upon the feedback we get as to what are the areas you want us to talk about, right? I was very happy to hear Sujit ji saying that virtual modeling is also an upcoming field for chartered accountants. Because all these years, people have been questioning me. You are a CA, you read news. Well, now I can do modeling also. So sky is not even the limit. So all the young chartered accountants, wherever you are, namaskaram, and let me say pranam to your family members. The day would have been really sweet for you when the result came and you were able to qualify as a chartered accountant, and now you are in your first job. So let me share my PPT. And I will encourage you to ask me as many questions as you want, because this is where we benefit the most. Okay, so that's the topic, A to F of first job. My name is CA Amit Arora, and my Twitter handle is @AmIGood. So the learning objective of the session, we will know what challenges we can face in our first job, why and how should we accept those challenges, real life stories of first job. It'll be a joyful session for about 90 minutes. So I believe I can continue till 9 p.m. IST. And 2 requests, as always, make sure that you participate. You can respond by tweeting at my Twitter ID, and I believe there's a chat option as well. So both the options are open. But whether you understand anything that I say, whether you agree or disagree with whatever I say, please smile, very essential. I'm telling you, smile increases the immunity. So smiling is very essential, notwithstanding that you may have a mask on, yet let the mask not hamper the laughter within. So now that you're smiling, and you have got every reason to smile because you have a job, my first question to you, because as a journalist, the only skill I possess is asking questions. My first question to everyone in attendance, what are the challenges one can face in the first job? Can I request you to please respond? You can tweet and tag me. You can write in the chat box. CA Pradeep ji would share if the responses come by.
Yeah, it just takes a minute. It just takes a minute and then they start flowing.
Yes. What do you think could be the challenges one can face in the first job? I'll give them 30 seconds to think, because thinking is very necessary. Let's preempt. What can happen? You got your first job.
Yeah, one answer has come.
Yes.
Aishwarya Ramesh says virtual onboarding is tough.
Yes. Absolutely. But Aishwarya, we need to understand that while virtual onboarding may be tough, yet there is opportunity in every adversity. I would congratulate Aishwarya, you and the entire first generation who are going through everything digitally. Trust me, 50 years down the line, when PhDs will happen, they will say there was one CA Aishwarya whose first job, first day was online, everything online. There is no precedence to it, right? So now it's up to you what you make of it.
Right. We have many responses now. Srishti says communication with seniors. Swapnil says rigidity. Learning new skills says Nazima. Adapting the culture of organization says Neeraj. Prior exposure not matching says Majid. Yogesh says getting settled according to a new environment. So most of them are getting settled to a new environment and different prior exposure. And communication. These are the most of the responses. There are 35 responses now.
You know, I quite like the response where somebody says prior experience or prior exposure not matching. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what? Today, some of the ministers of the West Bengal government were sworn in. And it was the first time in the history of India that we had some of the ministers taking the oath virtually. Never ever has it happened in the history of Republic of India that in a oath-taking ceremony, you didn't have the person virtually present in front of the governor or say the president. So when you say new things are happening, perfect. And this is where the first digital generation, all of you guys, see it as an opportunity. And you should just thrive on it. And we have to adapt. So you're absolutely right. Possible challenges that we could possibly see in the first job in current times, in the pandemic times and post-COVID. First, understanding the culture of the organization. The organization itself is undergoing such a change. We just heard Sujit talk about the Chief Digital and Data Officer. We didn't hear about CDDO maybe till last year. Like he said, even today, most of the listed companies don't have it. But with most of the business going online, we need somebody who can really help us harvest all the data and help in decision making. We probably didn't think about that 2-3 years back. So you have to understand the culture of the organization. Uncertainty. We're talking about the second wave. They're buzzing us about the third wave. So you never know which way it's going to go. Then the third, not my choice. While your Padosi is giving you congratulatory messages, yet deep inside the heart, you believe, no, I have got a job in internal audit, but I am somebody who likes statutory audit. Yes, I am saying, please, whatever you've got, just do it to the best of your ability with 100% involvement. You would agree that the second wave of COVID has only caused a lot of financial distress in world economy and certainly in Indian economy. And at a time when people are really struggling to get a job, if I have been able to get a job of some sense within the financial ambit, at least I should not complain. They come, things will improve. Understanding technology is going to be one big challenge. Prioritizing. You join a new job and everybody thinks that, okay, let him do this, let her do that. And you have piles of work. You do not know how to say no. So you say yes, but then the day ends and you're not able to finish everything, right? Smile could be a challenge. Taking initiative could be a challenge. Working in a team could be a challenge because now in a team, you could have somebody like me sitting in New Delhi. You could have Prabdeep ji joining you from Dubai, somebody from Doha. How would you kind of work in a team? You want to have a meeting at 9 p.m. IST. Prabdeep ji said, no, it is 7 p.m. in Dubai. I'm in my gym. So how would you reconcile working in a team with international environment? How would you respond to compliment? How would you respond to criticism? And I can tell you in first job, you will have your share of criticism. If you cannot take criticism, growth is not going to happen. Criticism is also very important. And then variety of fears. Variety of fears. One of which is that on a given day, somebody says, here is your pink slip. Can happen. Yes. So the point is that let us not really worry too much about it. But at the same time, you should really know and strategize that, okay, what is it that you would do if any of these things you have to face in life, okay? Now, let me share my first experience. So I qualified as a chartered accountant in May 2001, 20 years back. And just like this committee for members in industry and business, I remember ICAI was also helping us with campus interviews, and we were applying to other places as well. Now, I don't know what materialized, how one fine day I got a call and they said, well, there is a vacancy in the finance department with the American Red Cross. Trust me, I hadn't heard about Red Cross since then, till then. Now, when they said, can you come for the interview tomorrow morning at 10? There was no question about it. I had to. I had become CA. The round of laddus and sweets were over. Now the Padosis were asking that, where did you got placed? And I had no clue, right? So I had to go somewhere. Then I went this morning for the interview. And then I studied for the first time, what is American Red Cross all about? And the first thing, like I told you, you need to really understand the culture of the organization. What is its vision? What is its mission? What are the core values of the organization? Start with this basic. So I learned that there were 7 fundamental principles of the Red Cross movement. Humanity, impartiality, neutrality, independence, voluntary service, unity, universality. And this picture that you see, when I joined Red Cross, a lot of friends then who were my batchmates, they were getting into some corporate, some big this here, there. They told me, where are you getting into Red Cross? Well, I said, that's the only option I've got, right? That's why I was saying, it's not a matter of choice. That was the only option I got. Rather than sitting at home, I said, somebody's offering me. So I went and I joined that. And in the very first month, as luck would have it, I was very happy joining Red Cross. And in the very first month, they sent me to Washington, D.C., my first trip to States. And I went to Washington, D.C. This is a picture where we had finance managers of different countries come over, and we learned a lot. And I was so happy. I served Red Cross then for 3 years. And you won't believe, in Red Cross, there is no permanent goodbye. I'm today also associated with the Red Cross. 8th of May was International Red Cross Day. Red Cross movement has completed 100 years. Everyone with whom I have worked with 20 years back in Red Cross, they still know me. I still know them. They're spread across the world. Whenever I travel to any country, I will try to visit the Red Cross of that country. Yes, that's the magic. My first job happened to be my dream job. I realize it today. But when I got it, maybe that time I never realized that Red Cross is so powerful. That's why I tell you, don't jump to conclusions. Don't really look at, okay, if A is doing this, I also want to do this. This is the only way. You never know. Don't know. So if you want higher returns, it is essential that you have the capability to take more risk as well. So take more risk. Who knows? That would be the best part. Now, let me ask you another question. Did you have your first day in office online or offline? Please do respond. 30 seconds.
There were many comments earlier that working from home is a big challenge. So I think many may be having their first day as offline.
First day as online.
Online, yeah. Online.
Yeah.
First
So
day
I
as
think
online.
that, again, Prabdeep ji, you would also agree, never ever the previous generations would have thought that their first day in office would be online and they would continue to work from home the way we are doing it now.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
but the first answer came as offline by Aishwarya.
Okay.
And Avnish says online. And
Right.
and someone asked that is your picture with Oprah Winfrey? That picture which you
Very
shared.
good. I so very wish. Well, that was one of my colleagues with the American Red Cross, and as luck would have it, Prabdeep ji, the first organization I work for, American Red Cross, and the second one, American Institutes for Research. In both the organizations, I served under a lady boss, Janet Weiss. Her name was Janet Weiss.
Right.
And Janet and I are still very good friends.
So she is still working for Red Cross, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
But that was not Oprah. That was not Oprah Winfrey. Okay, so
so mixed answers are coming online, offline, and we have some participants whose joining has to happen yet. Yeah.
Okay. So what I was trying to tell you is that maybe even if the COVID gets over, yet I believe more and more digital technology is here to stay. And therefore, if you are working from home and you've been allotted work online, and I believe the profession of accountancy is such that we can handle majority of our work online. It is not our profession where you necessarily have to do something where you have to visit physically, right? That may be very one small chunk. Now you are talking about cloud computing, you're talking about cloud accounting, we're talking about cloud auditing. So with privacy rules also being inbuilt, today you can have technology help you do your part sitting wherever you want to sit, right? So you can sit on a beach of San Francisco, you can be on Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, wherever you want, and just enjoy life and also do very good quality work. Now the question here is that you have to be disciplined. So when you go to the office, you have to get up early, you get ready, you take your metro or your car and then reach office. Now here it should not happen that if your office is beginning at 9 a.m., you are getting up at 8:45, just a little bit sprinkle here and there, and 8:55 on dot right there. It won't work that way. So make sure that you are having a discipline, there is a schedule. And the employers also have to understand that work from home does not mean that the employee is available 24/7, right? The other day I was looking at this Zerodha's initiative where the founder said that we will not contact any of the employees beyond 6 p.m. and we won't contact them during weekends. So I think more and more employers have to follow that suit, because in India sometimes you believe work from home means that the employee is available 24/7. Not good. It won't be productive. So we have to learn first job from the perspective of both employee and the employer. Okay, so let me ask you this now. Whosoever has been in the first job, now that you qualified as a CA, what's the best compliment you've got? Have you got any compliments so far? Write it. And at the same time, in the limited experience that you had on your first job, have you already faced some criticism? If yes, please share. Let us learn from each other's experience. I know when I put this picture and I was showing it to my family, they were thinking it's a very harsh picture. I said, no problem. Sometimes you have to prepare for harshness. Sometimes you never know what boss can say.
In movies, we see this very often, taking the box out.
Okay, we'll come back to the compliment criticism part the moment we've got some responses coming. Let me continue to move on.
Avnish is saying your life is set. I'm not sure whether he got this compliment.
Your life is set.
Yeah. Ishita says, my senior scolded me in first day of articleship and next year he was one to clap for me in front of everyone. Aman
Ah,
is saying many of us have just got the offer letter, so many have to join. Harish Patel got a compliment that he's very sharp. Aishwarya said that I've done research in metals and minings, and my director appreciated me. But I have also got a lot of criticism for not knowing hedge accounting standard. Ria got a compliment about her writing skill, and Omkar said that HR told her not to ask too many small questions because she is busy. Vishal got a compliment, good work on the project. Ashish said that, yeah, he faced criticism that knowledge of technology is less. Shakuntala says that I think she tweeted also that criticism that there is partiality to being a talented employee. This is what has come here. I'm not sure what has come in the tweet. Must be the same. You can check.
okay. Okay. So I think the essence that everybody can understand that this is life. So if somebody can get scolded on day one, welcome to life. Somebody can have some appreciation coming your way, welcome to life. Somebody may not know about hedge accounting standards, welcome to life. Trust me. Trust me. Somebody who may accuse you of not knowing something may have also not known that till the time they were scolded, right? I am telling you, criticism will happen. You may also feel with a rush of blood that, okay, I will quit. I will quit. You are Bahubali. You see a Hindi film, you feel, no, I am the hero of Hindi film. I will quit. Please don't quit. Don't quit that easily, right? If somebody does criticize you, what you need to do is respond. Don't react. See if this is a constructive criticism. What was the point that the other person was trying to tell you? If you were coming late to a meeting, if you did not prepare for the meeting, if they're asking you to study some accounting standard, auditing standard, good. They are caring for you, right? They're your well-wishers. So don't jump at quitting. Quitting is not an option. What will you do tomorrow morning? Do you have any other option? Please, let ego not get the better of you. With folded hands, I request you, if ever you are scolded and you feel like quitting, at least think about today's session and not quit at least that time. One more try. One more try. Just think about this session, one more try, right? So life is all about compliments plus criticism. The question is, do you want to experience life or avoid life? If you want to experience life, it will have a combination of both compliments and criticism. And you have to survive. You have to survive. If you're not within the system, how will you ever grow? Right? So life is all about survival plus growth. And this is a picture which tells you that maybe we need to learn from children. How once they decide to do something, they are doing that with 100% involvement. The growth happens at the edge of one's ability. Now, since we're talking about the A to F of your first job, let me tell you that there is a great debate in India over the last few years, job seeker versus job creator. Undoubtedly, India is at an inflection point where you will find over the course of next 3 to 5 years more and more job creators. Now, that does not mean we don't need job seekers. If I today become an entrepreneur, then I would want some people to work for me. So the job seekers are also required. The problem is not 9 to 5 job. The challenge is your mindset. If your mindset is like what is shown in the picture, that Monday morning, it is only body that goes to the office. The soul goes only to office on Tuesday, Wednesday. You are a little happy on Thursday and you're really happy on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is not going to work. So you have to change the mindset that if somebody is giving you dollars to work from them, please make sure that you're adding value, right? If you're having Monday blues, perhaps that's not the dream job that you probably have to do. So you have to understand that. Similarly, if you look at the line, it is not just you standing there, you've got technology standing there as well. So you have to upgrade your skills. If I don't upgrade my skills, it will not be a surprise that someday some machine, some robot will just take over that job. What's the big deal? Please imagine a scenario where in earlier times you used to have a certain king, a Maharaja, sitting, and you had two people who were employed just to kind of do fan around him. You recall that scene? Two people employed with the king just to do fan around him. Now, when the fan came, do you require these two people? No. Should these people crib? No, now the fan will do the job. Why should a king who has wisdom keep these two people? Similarly, if you are only good at debit what comes in, credit what goes out, well, maybe the machine can do it better than you. Yes? So, 9 to 5 job, we still require, but the mindset, even in a job, has to be entrepreneur. And therefore, I would always salute somebody who has entrepreneur spirit. You have to adapt to times. This is a VUCA world, right? Volatile, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So see, if this gentleman today is selling the sanitizer and mask for 5 rupees, I think this is a brilliant job. People may say, oh, what is this job? But this is a brilliant thing, brilliant venture. Tomorrow, as he scales up, right? Say, for example, there's a greater demand now, say, for oxygen concentrators or oxygen cylinders going forward. Then this guy can scale up as he has more investors funding his business. So if he hires you, then make sure that you understand the business also. So even if you're a job seeker, it becomes very essential for you to understand the business. Now let's really understand A through F. The 6 points I'll present one by one, which is very essential recipe for anyone who's now on the first job. So I will give you a combo of both technical and soft skills with each of these letters, A, B, C, D, E, F. Let's begin with A. Now that you're on the first job, the first requirement we expect from you is that you should really have the technical skills of understanding the accounting information system. I'm not saying accounting, I'm saying accounting information system. So you should really know which software to put. Now, a lot of people may know that, okay, I know Tally, but I'm asking you, do you know what is the difference between single user Tally and a multi-user Tally? If I want to do a project in Bihar, right? And Bihar has got 38 districts. Let's assume I want to set up my business in 3 districts of Bihar. I want to set up my business in the capital city of Patna. I want to set up my business in the border city of border district of Buxar, and let's say in Champaran. Okay, these are the 3 districts. Can you please respond by tweet or whichever way on chat? If I want to set my business, one business, and I have 3 branches, one in Patna, one in Buxar, one in Champaran. Should I buy 3 single user Tally? Can I buy 1 multi-user Tally and then use that 1 multi-user Tally in each of those 3?
Amit, there is one question available.
A year back, they had liquidity issues, right? And one was wondering whether to keep your fixed deposits with Yes Bank or not. But last 1 year, they've revived. They're a little better off. So I'm saying that it's a very dynamic situation. The point is, you should not sit idle and just wait for the dream opportunity. So take a call and take risk. It may work, it may not. Take a risk and just do it. Whatever you feel is right. And then if it works out, very good. If it doesn't work out, no problem. Learn and grow and go further. Okay, so to that question of multi-user or single user.
Multi-user, 99% responses. Only a couple of responses are there which say single.
Right. So guys, you cannot have one multi-user. So that's an incorrect answer. Multi-user Tally version, I can use it only in my Patna office because it requires LAN. So in my Patna office, if I have 2 building, 3 building, I can use a multi-user for 3, 4, 5 people in that Patna office only. I cannot use a multi-user in Patna and 1 user also in Buxar, also in Champaran. No. So that's an incorrect answer. Here the right answer is, if I want to have in 3 different districts, I would go with 3 single user. Or if I need, then I need to have 3 multi-user for those districts, right? So the point I'm trying to stress here is that the accounting information system is the responsibility of the chartered accountant. Which software should I buy? Should I buy single user? Should I buy multi-user? How will I create chart of accounts? There is no point creeping after 1 year that the data was not entered properly. Well, you did not help me with the setting of chart of accounts. So understand the business, help them get the chart of accounts. Then the accountant can feed the data or the machine can feed the data and look at it every month on month, right? So setting of accounting information system is very critical. Soft skills with A, you need to know how do you go about analyzing that particular data which you have fed into the accounting software so that you can weave a story around it. If you can't weave a story, it means nothing, right? It is just data. So what we're looking from a chartered accountant, having cracked such a difficult course, 70 years, just 300,000 people who've gone on to become CA, you are a part of a select elite club. We want your narrative to it. Now let me give you an example. See, we all understand accounting is the language of business. So when we are asking you to do accounting, we want that you should present the data and tell me where is the business heading. The language of the business, very important language. Just like I'm using English right now to communicate. For me to communicate the growth of a business, accounting is the language. Now, we all know accounting is a input, process, output. So you have all these transactions happening, input, you do the vouching, input. The process is what? Where you have record the journal, then you have the classification, ledger, and then you do your trial balance, and the output is the financial statements. Now that part is fine, but if you restrict yourself only to input, process, output, that is only transactional. That won't give you dollars, right? That many can do, machine can also do. So technology will replace you. If you just limit yourself with the skill of input, process, output, technology will outdo you. Third point becomes very important. Do I have the ability to weave a story around those numbers? You have to make the accounting information relevant to the target audience, whether it's your managers or investors. The key question is, can I make the numbers talk? Now, what I present right now in front of you is the union budget that the Honorable Finance Minister had presented on the 1st of February 2021. Right? Now, if these numbers are presented in front of you, can you please in chat or tweet write one analysis, any one analysis that you can make looking at these figures? Any one inference, any one analysis you can make looking at the receipts, the revenue budget of the Government of India for the current fiscal. You can tweet your response by tagging me at am I good, or write in the chat. I'll give you 30 more seconds to look at the figures.
Yeah, there are. Should I tell now or wait?
Yes, please.
Shubham is saying fiscal deficit has increased. Kapil Parekh says budget figure. Dataram says tax revenue rose by nearly 25%. And Preksha says comparisons. Shubham says revenues goes down due to disruption. So Himakshi says imports have increased, leading to increased revenue from custom duties. Shakuntala says GST is the highest revenue generator. Srinivasulu says receipts are decreasing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. This is very good. So I hope you're understanding that as a chartered accountant, our expectation of you is that whenever you will present numbers, you will tell the story. We just don't want to look at the numbers. We want somebody to simplify the story for us. Now, the first and foremost thing, friends, you need to do is that you have to know whether the numbers are in rupees, dollars, pounds, sterling, what, right? So these are the numbers in INR. Are they in INR 100, lakhs or crores? So this is in rupee crore. So make sure that in your analysis, you always start from there, that the numbers mentioned are in INR crores. Now, if you look at the columns, you've got 4 columns. You've got the actuals for the financial year 1920, which means that this particular year is closed. These are the actual figures. Then, as you know, whenever on 1st of February, the union budget comes, we have what is known as the budget estimate. So for 2021 fiscal, we have the budget estimate. And once you travel down some months, you come up with revised estimates. So we've got the revised estimate, and finally, we've got the budget estimate for the current fiscal. Now, how do I develop my analysis skill? Let's look at the broader picture first. So first, broader picture, the gross tax revenue. Now, the first thing is that the revenue receipts are segregated into 2 categories, tax revenue and non-tax revenue. So you have to really plan when you will present it. How will you present it? In your first job, you should take every opportunity to observe, maybe speak less and listen more. So if your senior is presenting, look at different people present it. How do they bifurcate the data? How do they start? And I'm telling you, one big learning I had, when I was working for an aviation company, and it was a quarterly meeting, and who's who was present. I started by presenting the expenditure figures first, and the person who was chairing the board meeting said, he went like this, and he said, Amit, these are expenditure figures. Show me the revenue first. And I learned the big lessons of my life that you should always focus on revenue first. This is what I learned. So here, the revenue receipts is basically coming from tax revenues. As you can see, corporate tax is the biggest contributor when it comes to the tax revenue. And then, like somebody rightly said, the customs have gone up. So maybe we can say that the imports are also increasing. Then you've got non-tax. One should also see what constitutes non-tax. So if you look at the actuals of fiscal year 1920, the gross tax revenue under the tax revenue was 20 lakh crore. 20 lakh crore. For the next fiscal, in February, before the onset of COVID, we thought we'll increase it by 4 lakh crore, 24 lakh crore. But alas, because COVID happened, we revised it to 19 lakh crore. So we will expect you to present and tell me that we got this figure down by 5 lakh crore because of COVID. So you should know that the figures have gone down by 5 lakh crore because of COVID. So you should tell that, right? Now, because of COVID, after year one, again on 1st of February, we thought we will be able to do 22 lakh crore. But this is 1st February. We thought COVID was over. Now with the second wave, it is almost given that perhaps when the revised estimate will come for 21-22, I don't think we'll be able to manage 22 lakh crore. Yes? So the point here I'm trying to tell you is, love the figures. Love the figures. See what the figures are saying. Don't sign off something unless you have understood the story. Period. And ask as many questions as you can. This is how you do the A part. Now, let me also tell you, how do we create a story? How do you weave the numbers into a story? So let me give an example. You can weave a story by not having any preconceived notion. If you are having a preconceived notion of a certain climax, then it is going to be only survival, no growth. Life is survival plus growth. If you are having predetermined answer, only survival, no growth. Growth will happen with innovation. Now let me tell you the story, and then you can respond by tweeting or on chat. What could be the climax of the story? So the fox and the crow story goes like this. That once there was a fox who was traveling through the jungles, and then the fox finds a crow sitting on a branch of a tree. The fox goes to the foot of the tree and says to the crow that you are a very noble person, very generous, and I really feel like singing a song. I really feel like hearing a song. Would you be kind enough to sing a song for me? So when the fox requests the crow, would you be kind enough to sing a song for me? Let me press the pause button. Can you tell me what could be the possible ending to the story? What could be the climax of this story? When the fox requests the crow, who has in her beak a piece of bread, as you can see in the picture, what could be the possible climax of the story? Just tweet or chat.
We have first answer. Harish says fox will eat crow. Yeah. Vishal says fox getting something.
Okay. Of course, one option is that crow does not use her brain, and the moment she tries to sing, the piece of bread comes down and the fox eats the bread and goes away. This is what we've been taught in the school, right? Of course, Harish was very, very harsh, thinking that the fox will eat the crow, but don't forget, crow can fly, right? So Harish, maybe that won't be happening, but good. That's an option too, though.
Yeah, Ashish says that now we have many answers. Ashish says crow does not understand his language. And Aman says he will eat. Mayank says crow will fly away. Vijay says crow will eat bread and will sing song. So Purushottam says bread will fall down. Akash says fox will get bread. Mudit says crow flies away and ignore fox. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So there are many now.
Thank you. So this is what innovation is. All I'm saying is while we were in school, we were only told one possible ending, which is that the crow starts singing, the bread falls down, and the fox eats the bread. And therefore, the perception always is that the fox was the poor person or the clever person and not good person, villain, and crow was the victim. Let's not have any preconceived notion, right? How about one possible ending being that the crow realizes that the fox is hungry and the crow splits the bread in two pieces and she gives one piece to the fox and both of them are happy. And therefore, let's inculcate the value of compassion. Let's inculcate the value of being kind. Let us not just think fox has to be clever and bad, right? That's the whole idea. So all I'm saying is that the numbers can be taken to any direction. Make sure that you're convinced that the story has the values and no preconceived notion. Okay? Now, we also should understand the organization from the perspective of the different departments they have. So I showed you the Government of India budget. You should also know that what are the different departments that are there in the Ministry of Finance. So you've got 5 departments: Department of Revenue, Department of Expenditure, Department of Financial Services, Department of Economic Affairs, Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. So let me ask you one quick question. We talked about accounting, accounting. Can you tell me, if I ask you who audits Government of India accounts, can you answer that? Who audits Government of India accounts?
Before these answers come, I would like to tell the participants that, there were almost 50 comments, so I have not read all. We have received all the comments. So thank you. And only the first few comments I had read. CAG is the answer. Ashwarya, Sapan, Harish have said that.
Right. So many people are answering Comptroller and Auditor General. That is perfect. Let me ask you the next question. The CAG will audit Government of India accounts only when somebody presents him the accounts. So my next question is, who prepares the accounts for the Government of India? Please answer that.
So who prepares the accounts for Government of India? That's the question now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure. PAC is one response has come. For what it has come, I'm not sure. Shakuntala says PAC. Still, there are some answers coming for Fox and Crow story. Yeah, Finance Department.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would you agree, Prabdeep ji, that while many people answered the audit part correctly, CGA, perhaps not many are answering on the accounting part, right?
Right. Suhas says Finance Department, Akash says CPA. So these are the answers which are.
Suhas, you are right. It is the Ministry of Finance, but not the Finance Department. Like I shared the screen, it is the Department of Expenditure, which has an institution called CGA, Controller General of Accounts. Just like there is CAG, we also have somebody called CGA. So the point here I'm trying to tell you is A for accounting is very critical. If we would not know who's preparing the accounts, then how would we ever have the independence between accounts and audit? Yes. So now that you are a CA, we expect you to know the institution of CGA, just like you know CAG. That is all I wanted to tell you that A for accounting and analyzing to weave the story is very critical. So just like we have shared about the different departments in the finance ministry, similarly, when you are part of the finance team in your first job, you may be in finance, you may be in accounts, you may be in treasury, you may be in compliances, but you should still know the entire structure of Department of Finance. You should still know the entire structure of the organization, the organogram. Always get a copy. Meet people in your first job. Show interest in people. See how they contribute in the entire piece of puzzle. What is it that the company does? Then only you will be able to understand the numbers. Then only you will be able to help the numbers talk. Right? So understand the department. Now let's come to B. B is budgeting and soft skills, brainstorming. So just like I showed you the union budget, that was the revenue budget, right? Can you tell me what is the union expenditure budget for the current fiscal? You can tweet at am I good? What is the union expenditure budget for fiscal year 21-22? I showed you the revenue budget slide. Now I'm asking you the expenditure budget. 30 seconds I give you. Okay. Any response?
Yeah, 38 lakh crore, Shubham says.
Okay. Shubham, good attempt. It's 34.8 lakh. So roughly about 35 lakh crore. Right? Now, my humble request as a citizen of the country, not that chartered accountant, I'm saying leave even the CA part. As a responsible citizen of the country, it is essential that we should always know the budget of the country, because this is a very important document. If you're a CA, it's become even more important. When you go to the first job, notwithstanding what position you are in, always get a copy of the budget of the organization. You always know the big picture. So this is the expenditure budget of the Government of India for the current fiscal. As you can see, down right hand side, 34.8 lakh crore is the fiscal budget. Now imagine if my revenue budget was about 20 lakh crore and my expenditure budget is about 35 lakh crore, see a big difference of 15 lakh crore. So the figures tell you a story. Why do we struggle, say, having, whether we have to face a challenge like a pandemic or provide basic amenities of education to everyone? Money matters. And this situation can reverse in next 5 years, trust me, by India's contribution to the world in the service sector. More than goods, in the service sector. And chartered accountants can play a big role. We've got the business acumen of guiding not only Indian businesses, but the world. Global advisory services, global business services, they are going to just increase. But you have to keep yourself motivated, encouraged. Your first job could be the first big springboard where you can learn a lot. Don't let ego, don't let criticism, don't let any one incident, one bad day in office ruin your life. See the gaping difference. Expenditure budget 35 lakh crore, revenue budget 20 lakh crore, difference of 15 lakh crore. Right? We need better work from each one of us.
Yeah,
Next question.
Amitji, before you go on to the next question, there are some questions which I have missed. I will come to that later, but here on this point, Swapnil is asking if we are in virtual world and if we are at home, how can I ask my reporting manager, of a finance structure of the company, how would he judge me? So if you can share some guidance on this.
Swapnil, like I was showing you the India budget figures, if you go to indiabudget.gov.in, you will find all of these figures. But if somebody does not see these figures, so that's our choice. Similarly, Swapnil can join any organization. Trust me, if you go to the website, most of the organizations would have the organogram in the website. Most of the organizations would have their annual reports, audited reports. If it's a listed company, then it becomes even more easy. I would certainly agree that the data is available. It is just that how willing are we to ask? And I'm saying for once, even if it's not available, something that you want is not available in the public domain, you can always call your manager. You can have a Skype with your manager. I'm telling you, supervisors will feel very happy sharing whatever data they can. And they'll be very happy that somebody is showing interest. In fact, you will find that the moment you find more engagement and loyalty to your organization, and you're going beyond the job description that is written, you will have more avenues of growth and promotion. Okay, let me answer this question. Then the quality of expenditure means that the fiscal deficit that we had showed you, whether it is revenue deficit or capital deficit. Now, per se, fiscal deficit is not bad, because if the component of fiscal deficit is going into capital expenses, that is considered good, because you're building hospitals, you're building roads, you're building infrastructure that will generate employment. So that doesn't hurt. What hurts is the component of fiscal deficit, which is revenue deficit. So this classification of fiscal deficit into revenue and capital is called quality of expenditure. So you should really be able to understand the budget from that perspective. So I hope we are clear of B, budgeting. Let me now share the soft skill of B, brainstorming. It's a very interesting story. So what happened? It was somewhere in the 80s when a business meeting was happening and about a dozen people were in attendance. And that ice cream company had a challenge at hand. So the boss says that when somebody eats an ice cream in a plastic cup, as you see on the left side of the screen, after eating the ice cream, what do you do with the plastic cup? You throw it. But the plastic is not biodegradable, which means 100 years down the line, you would still have that plastic cup somewhere in the soil. So if any animal eats it, they may die. So the question in the meeting was, how should we address this challenge? Now, one person who was pretty quiet in the meeting all this while said, is it possible that after eating the ice cream, we can eat the cup too? When he made that suggestion, many people in the room smiled, just like you may be smiling right now. But then we had the innovation called cone. Yes? Brainstorming, very essential. So in your first job, if you are invited to any meeting, don't be hesitant to share your peace of mind. And certainly post-pandemic, we're looking at innovation. Look at healthcare. We're looking at innovation. This is not how societies will run across the world, right? You and I need to probably increase the allocation for health sector. We need to prioritize health much more than we have done so far. We have to look at innovative ways. We cannot afford to have a situation where people don't have access to healthcare. So access to healthcare and healthcare being affordable. Similarly, online businesses. Similarly, food and restaurant chains. Earlier, when you thought of setting up of a food business, you wanted the corner shop. No longer that is the main aim. Now I remember in our colony there's a biryani shop and very good biryani they deliver. Once I thought, let me see their office. It was in some building, 14th floor somewhere. They were not bothered because nobody wants to come there. Now they don't need the corner shop. All I'm saying is you need brainstorming to come up with innovation. And when you come up with ideas, people may smile at you, people may mock at you, they may criticize you, but this is how innovation happens. So be prepared for it. Okay, C, compliances and controls. Technical skill, you should be good at knowing relevant acts, whether you are into income tax or not, but at least some basic of Income Tax Act, whether you are in indirect tax or not, some basics of GST, Companies Act, FCRA, FEMA, a little bit of all the compliances that can come, the local legislations, donor guidelines, internal control mechanism, all of this is something that you should know, right? Let me give you an example. Can you tell me what is the full form of FCA, FCRA? And FCRA comes under which union ministry?
Yeah, Amit, before this answer comes, Chetan is looking for some insights on whether fund accounting would be good. Actually, he asked this question long back. I missed it. So if you have some idea, if you can guide him. Fund accounting, yeah, fund accounting good for freshers. That's his question.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Chetan, first, absolutely. Why would fund accounting not be relevant? Accounting is the language of business. You are putting a prefix fund, then it becomes even more important because you want a certain specific kind of accounting. You see how many scams have been unearthed, especially in the last decade. I see that as a very welcome step. With digital technology being embraced and data points being generated, today it is very difficult to do scam because you have an audit trail, right? More and more people want audit to get done. Look at government. I foresee, Chetan, that next 3 to 5 years, government will be one big client for chartered accountants. Whether the government is at central level, state level, and very importantly, at the village level, the audits of the Gram Panchayats. If you go to ICAI.org, our website, our institute's website, You'll be happy to note that ICAI has come up with accounting standards for local bodies. Now look at the budget, annual budget of BMC, Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation. Look at the annual budget of MCD here in Delhi. NDMC. NDMC is cash-rich body. Look at other municipalities. Look at the Gram Panchayats. Should they not be audited? Are they being audited? A lot of money goes into Gram Panchayats bank accounts through various central and state schemes. Should they not be accountable for every penny? I'm saying that accounting, fund accounting, and other specifics were always important. In the digital era, they become even more important.
Yeah. So, Amitji, we have many answers. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act under Ministry of Home Affairs. Almost 70 people have answered this.
Okay.
So,
okay, good.
Right.
So that's the correct answer. FCRA is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Now we have to understand here, if the money comes to India from other countries for commercial purposes, then it's FEMA, Ministry of Finance. But if it comes for a charitable purpose, it's FCRA under Home Ministry. Just wanted to kind of tell you that compliance is so important. So we should know. So for 31st of March, after 9 months in December, the FC return goes. Even if you read the FCRA, which is very small legislation, there's so much of work that you can do. So when any compliances that you do well, you will get a lot of opportunities there. When I say communicate with compassion, it means that make sure that when you express, you understand yourself. That is what communicate with compassion means. So sometimes what happens is that we blabber. Blabber is just speaking for speaking purposes, not understanding ourselves. We ourselves forget what we're speaking. That is not communicating with compassion. So communicate with compassion, which means that you are the first recipient. At least it should make sense to you. See, everybody can speak. But communicating with compassion means you are thinking and then speaking. If you do that, 1, your chances of making mistake is very less. 2, your pronunciation, your pause, your comma, your semicolon, everything will fall into place because you're communicating with compassion. Yes or no? You'll be able to sprinkle smiles too. But if you're not communicating with compassion, you're only going to read it. You have no clue yourself what you're reading. Don't do that. Right? You may fumble, you may stumble. I don't care. But communicate with compassion. You read one paragraph. You've not fumbled, but you never connected. That is not good. Yes? So in your first job, when they say, who would like to present the accounts? Who would like to kind of share the idea? Your inner feeling may be, oh my God, I will die if I go to stage. Oh, it won't happen. It won't happen that way. Right? Please take the opportunity. Just raise the hand. Raising hand and taking those 10 steps to go to the stage is where the growth will happen. Similarly, in online, it is very easy. If somebody says, anybody would like to express, just raise hand. Now you're sitting in home and the comforts of home. Now dedicate yourself, to your parents and just communicate. Just communicate. Okay. Digitization and soft skill decision making. Whether right or wrong, start taking decisions. You have to learn taking decisions in life. I don't care whether your decisions are right or wrong. With time, you will have higher percentage of right decisions, but I still have to find somebody on planet Earth whose every decision is right. Doesn't happen like that. Yes? So the reason is that there is so much of uncertainty. You really don't know what tomorrow has in store for you. So what looks a good decision today may not necessarily be a good decision because it's a VUCA world. Yes? So the point here is, notwithstanding, you should still be able to make decision. Now, how do I take decision? Well, on the basis of data. So digitization has become very important. If I ask you quantity of data, how much data is generated in one day? It's a figure which is mind-boggling. And I'll share that figure in just a bit. Now, in your first job, what you perhaps need to do is assess that your organization is a data laggard, data monitor, data aspirant, data differentiator, or a data disruptor. Where is your organization in terms of data journey? And that will only mean more opportunities for you. Data laggard means, well, they are still behind. They are not harvesting the data. And therefore, they probably won't be on a growth curve. They will be a stagnant organization. They may also get extinct because, look at LG. LG has moved out of mobile space. Look at Kodak. They didn't adapt. They had a great market share in photography at one point of time. So today you have to be driven with data. right? Swiggy, Zomato, see how they have these data points and they have really become a data differentiator. And they've got all of these cashbacks and things like that. You don't feel like eating anything, you still would like to order. So data is the new oxygen, not the oil, because oil is also very limited use, maybe. Oxygen. How much data is generated every day? Incredible 2.5 quintillion. Now, if you do not know quintillion is how much, don't bother. Even I did not know till the time I had searched it. So it's 10 raised to power 18. Million is 10 raised to power 9. Billion is 10 raised to power 12. Our population is 1.3 billion. And quintillion is 10 raised to power 18. So just imagine, we don't even know how many zeros. That's the kind of data that is being generated every single day. And going forward, it is only going to increase. Now, this is quantity of data. We need chartered accountants who can help me with quality of data. So are you understanding how decision making will happen based upon digitization? Look at the vaccination drive. We are 1.3 billion people. And if we are saying 18 plus are going to be eligible now from 1st of May, you already have a substantial part of this population who has to register. We have to say hats off to this portal, COVID portal, but it hasn't really crashed as yet. Maybe slow at times, but still, if you put your phone number and if you've not taken your vaccine so far, please take it. I've taken the first jab. Take it. Vaccine does not guarantee that you will not get COVID. All it says is that, God forbid, if you get the infection, the severity won't be there. This is what the doctors are saying so far. And vaccines, all these years, even when we were small, we took vaccines for a lot of things. In India today, we are a polio-free country because of the vaccine that we gave to people. And polio vaccination still happens because we still have 2-3 countries in the world that have polio. So unless we have got entire world not having any polio case, we still have to vaccinate ourselves, right? So I'm saying that this is all data driven. ESG, soft skills, ethics. And here in E, the technical and soft skills almost merge. I hope you know what ESG stands for. Environmental, social, governance. No longer can a business be only about profits. So in your first job, you should observe that how there are environmental factors, social factors that are built into governance. So it's not just profits, it is also planet, it is also people. More and more you will hear about water efficiency, energy efficiency, climate change, such an important issue. UN talks about it. Particularly the current Secretary General has always made that point clear that we have to focus on world coming together on issues of global concern. Multilateralism has to happen. Just the other day, Indian leadership talked to the member states of the European Union. We cannot just be isolated and just think about ourselves. It is a connected world. COVID has taught us that. I hope that the human being's wisdom prevails. While everybody will look forward to their own interest of the country, which is also fine, so there will be a level of protection. Yet, there will be a spirit of multilateralism that we cannot ignore. So, when it's environment, it doesn't really care whether it's India or your neighbor. Environment is environment. If the air is good, it is good for you and for the Prime Minister. Yes? In terms of the ethics, well, in the first job, you can have a lot of ethical dilemmas. We've got about 10 more minutes, so let me spend 1 minute on that. Can you please tweet or chat response? Have you ever faced an ethical dilemma in your first job? Ethical dilemma means that your values wanted you to take one way, but to stay on the job or for some material gains, you had to go the other way.
Amitji, can they include their articleship experience? Because I think they are only into 2 or 3 months in the job as of now.
Yes. Okay.
Fine. And we have a couple of participants asking about VUCA word. Before you share anything about it, I would also like to pass a message to all of them that in our earlier 7 days program, on the 6th day, VUCA was discussed in detail. And Amitji, if you want to share any point on VUCA, because some want to hear some views from your side.
Sure. See, VUCA is an acronym, VUCA. So V stands for volatility, U stands for uncertainty, C stands for complexity, and A stands for ambiguity. I remember CA Prabdeep ji that I think it was 2016 or maybe 2015, 1st July, CA Day, and we had the former Finance Minister, late Arun Jaitley, as the chief guest at Vigyan Bhavan. So when Arunji came, he made a very good point. He said that chartered accountants have a big role today because of the increased volatility. He used the word volatility then, and he said there were days when we used to think about volatility happening once a year or once in 6 months. But now we are in the era where volatility happens twice in a day. And that's why chartered accountants have to respond. I'm saying this is what Arunji said in 2015, right? 1st of July, in our CA Day celebrations. So the point here is that now when we say we are in a VUCA world, it means V is volatility. U is uncertainty. I mean, who 1 year back would have thought that COVID pandemic will hit the world the way it has? Not just the developing countries. See what has happened to Europe. They're still reeling under it. See what has happened to America. Yes, in fact, many would believe that the election results that happened, one of the reasons was COVID, COVID handling. So, complexity, ambiguity. So, given the fact that we may not necessarily know what will be in store for us or the businesses the next day, the business managers have to have the ability to decide fast. Look at IPL. They decided to conduct it. Debate happened from day one, whether we should have had IPL in India or not. And finally, the management had to decide that, okay, we'll suspend. So now, this was the 14th edition. Did we ever had that kind of experience earlier of cancelling IPL? No, this time we had to. So we have to kind of now, the decision of national lockdown, not easy. It is easy for us to say, but for national leaders, for any country to impose national lockdown, not easy. You also have to think about economy. Yes. So the point here is how, so to the young chartered accountants who are business managers, welcome to the VUCA world. Tomorrow morning, you and I don't know what the news will be. When I go to the news studios to read the news, trust me, I have no clue. I've been reading news for 20 years. There was a time when I knew that if in the evening I prepared, I knew that set of news will happen tomorrow. That, okay, so and so on is the chief minister, prime minister is going to this particular country on a bilateral visit. I knew that these will be the headlines and I prepared. Now I don't know what to prepare because you never know what will happen by the time tomorrow morning comes. So as a news anchor, you kind of take that into stride, yes or no? Similarly, you will do that for businesses because this is a VUCA world.
We have, Amitji, around 10 answers where 7 says that no, 3 says yes. And one of the participants is asking if you ever faced this in journalism. Ethical dilemma.
If you ever faced this
in your journalism career.
Yes. No. See, everyone would face ethical dilemmas. Okay. The question is, how do you respond to it? And I come back to the culture of the organization and culture of the individual. See, everyone has got a set of values. So like, for example, personally in my life, I would have the value of respect, integrity, commitment, and excellence. So whether I agree or disagree to your point, I will still respect you. This helps me not to fight with you. Yes, I can agree to disagree. Similarly, integrity. In finance, integrity becomes even more important. But ethical dilemmas do happen and you have to ensure that you stick to your values. But it is also essential that you have to realize that the change will come gradually. One cannot rebel overnight and change the system. And you cannot blame any particular one person or institution. Whether we did good or bad in whichever situation depends upon our choices for a certain period of time. Like, for example, I think the way we look at our participation in a democracy has to change. When any elections happen, whether at Assembly or Lok Sabha, if only voting percentage is 40-50, this is not good. So we have to make sure that that percentage increases. That's the first step. Now, that does not mean that now I will get awakened only after 5 years. If I see the budget, if I have accountability for every penny being raised, where it is spent, and that becomes, more important agenda for development, then you will see that, you'll have less ethical dilemmas. But if we chose to be silent at that point of time, then gradually the pattern will come where we will feel a little guilty of our decisions. But no matter what, even when you become awakened, don't have the feeling of guilty and do whatever best you can. And nothing will happen overnight, but make sure that gradually you improve to be a better person, right? Okay, finally, last F is financial statements and the soft skills, fun. and follow-ups and feedback so that the cycle can continue. So you do follow-up and feedback, and if it means that you have to improve your accounting system, do that. If you have to change budget, do that. If you have to have better understanding of finances, digitization, so everything gets tied up into a cycle. Fun is very essential. Okay, financial statements. Now, financial statements broadly, balance sheet is like a camera. It gives you a snapshot. P&L a running picture, like a video. Cash flow statement is like a CCTV. You want to look at the operating cash flow a little more closely. Or you want to look at the investing, or you want to look at the financing. Very, very essential, right? See, somebody mentioned about liquidity or not. So cash is very important. Any organization that is facing cash crunch will certainly have survival issues. You know, when we talk about that going concern part, so when somebody was asking, should I choose cash rich or this? I'm saying, of course, our choice will be for cash rich. But if I don't have that option and I have even a cash crunching organization offering me something, well, I will go ahead with that and ensure that with my business acumen, I can help that company grow to become cash rich. Yes, it's a challenge. And nose to accounts, the traditional thing, the book. So these are your arrows in your armory, right? Sharpen them. Look at the balance sheet, look at the P&L. You should be able to sense if there is any scam. Don't sign anything till the time you're very convinced that the story is coming out perfect, right? It's coming out something that you feel is right. Fun? Well, fun is very, very essential. I've got this musical comedy show, Hasgulle. Art is a very powerful way to spread smiles and fight corona. And I can tell you, with the way technology is increasing, many of the jobs robots will do, but you would still require a human being to help you smile, to help create music. So if you can do something in the field of arts, then you would still be relevant. Similarly, those businesses which are in the field of arts with a human touch will always be relevant. Other jobs will be taken by technology. So arts will always be very, very important. And like I said, if you want to take care of yourself, take care of every being on planet Earth. This is what COVID has taught us. So the summers are going to be coming. It's already increased temperatures here in the northern part of the country. Make sure that you feed the birds, sparrows with adequate water. And in the end, while I want you to relish the sweet taste of mangoes, please understand we're not perfect. In your first job, you will do a lot of mistakes. We all did. Today, when we look back at the mistakes that we did, it brings a smile to our face. How come we did that mistake? It's fine. You know, this is what life is all about. We are work in progress. Continue making mistakes, but make sure that you make new mistakes every time. Don't stumble against the same stone twice. Continue to learn and grow. Speak to different people. Seek help. Speak to your parents, siblings, whosoever you trust, your friends. Be kind to yourself. You know, you've traveled so far and you've done very well. You know, recall the incident when you enrolled for CA. You thought CPT will be tough. You thought inter will be tough. You thought maybe you'll never crack finals. Then you thought in the orientation, oh, interview, they will not select me. Well, you've been able to travel so far. I'm very sure that the first job will be very special to you. All the best. I'm happy to take more questions if you have some.
Yes, Amanji, I would, before I give the questions to you, I would like to tell the participants, because there are many questions regarding the practicing field, and I would like to tell on first day we answered this, but on 12th we are having 2 special sessions where about the practicing field and opportunities abroad will be answered. There were some questions regarding global delivery services, jobs in Big Four, which we answered yesterday in detail. If you would like to touch, you can touch, but I would like to say that there were 3 personal questions to you. One is why you are wearing masks in the studio, which came very initially and I missed. Second thing is choosing journalism was how did you choose it? Was it your long-term planning? And third is a couple of participants are very much impressed with your vocabulary, so they are asking some tips on improving vocabulary from you. And there are 10 comments which have come already that your session was very enriching, and thank you so much for that.
So thank you very much for the response. Let me answer each of these 3 questions. Why do I wear mask in the studios? Like I said, every news anchor is wearing, and DD News is very proud. DD News, Doordarshan News is very proud that each of our news reader. So even if you check live news right now, you'll find the DD News reader with the only channel where every news reader is wearing mask. Why? See, when I'm reading news, I also have guests. Like I'll have a scientist with me, I'll have the ICMR person, I will have doctors joining me from other areas as well. Now the second wave, what the study came, the Lancet study had also come. In the first wave, we were thinking that the coronavirus spreads because of the droplet infection. So when I speak, it will just form a droplet, and if I touch the surface, I can have the transmission from the surface or from droplet. In the second wave, there is an opinion by the certain segment of scientists that it is airborne. It has already become airborne. And therefore, even if I am maintaining social distancing, it may not suffice. So in the studios, if I have a panel of scientists and doctors, they're also wearing it. I'm also wearing it. Second, our studios of Doordarshan, they are big halls with centralized AC. While we have very minimum people, the anchors are there, the camera person, the audio person, yet God forbid if there is any asymptomatic COVID patient in an AC hall, everybody make. That's why we have, why is it that in this lockdown in Delhi till 17th, we have stopped the metro? Because metro also the same thing. It is centralized AC. Even if one person who boards the metro stays there for 10 minutes and spread it to others. So that's why we are doing double masking. And with God's blessings, we are still fine because we have to go to the office to do the live programs. And we've been doing it the entire year. So that's the reason why we wear masks. Second, I remember asking this to the guest. And he said, Amit, it's better to err on the side of caution. When we know that the second wave, the virus is more infectious and it gets transmitted through air, it's better to wear masks. Not only one, we're wearing two. And when you're wearing two, don't wear two of the same thing. Like don't wear two surgical masks. Wear one surgical, wear one cloth. Different. Then it becomes a little tight. It has to be real tight from here, real tight from here. It's simple, no rocket science. Don't let the infection go inside you. Very simple. Masking is very essential. And masking is going to be part of a lifestyle for at least a year, if not more, across the world. Second, in terms of why I went to journalism, well, my heart always beat for journalism. Everyone is conferred one skill. Sachin, hit the ball. Messi, kick the ball. I always say that. Imran Hashmi, you know his skill. Similarly, my skill was asking questions. Right? I love asking questions. And therefore, I thought that I could become an anchor. And I loved, my languages were very good. I was from Cambridge School and I did my Hindu college. My Hindi teacher, Renu Satija ma'am, who's still my Facebook friend. She used to show copy like this, Hindi. And she used to say, look at Amit's handwriting. And she used to write Sundar. Sundar is good in Hindi, Sundar. And sometimes Ati Sundar. So I used to write very good Hindi. I was very good Hindi student. I was also equally good in English. And credit to my English teacher, Mrs. Wattle. Mrs. Wattle told me, Prabdeep ji, a formula that if you can communicate something in minimum words, if you can cut a word and still retain the meaning, cut the word. So my English became very good just because of Madam Wattle. And I will urge everyone, work upon your languages. English, Hindi, Urdu, Tamil, Telugu. I know Spanish also. I've learned Spanish. So estudiante de español. This is just one small life. Do whatever you want to. You have cracked chartered accountancy. 70 years, 300,000 people. Which other professional course? Only 300,000 people, 70 years. You've done that. But you think you'll struggle doing foreign language or any other language? No problem. So when it comes to vocabulary, very simple solution. One word every day. One word every day. And the mistake that we do is, we do practice one word, but we don't apply it. So let me give you an example. I remember once I was reading the newspaper and I had interviewed former Prime Minister VP Singh. He's no more. I had interviewed him. So on a given day in the newspaper, his photograph was there. Former Prime Minister VP Singh convalescing from surgery. Now his photo was there. He was in a hospital and it read former Prime Minister VP Singh convalescing from surgery. Now I did not know the meaning of the word convalesce. CONVALAESCE. So I went to dictionary.com. I typed the word and it said recover. Recover. Then I noted in my register, I have a separate register for Hindi words. I have a separate register for English words. I would advocate the same to every participant. Then I wrote convalesce. Then you write the synonym, privachi, to recover. Then you write the sentence from where you saw that word. So I wrote the sentence, in my register even today, that sentence is written, former Prime Minister VP Singh convalescing from surgery. That's step 3. Step 4 is what students don't do. Before you learn a new word next day, make sure you apply this word. So when you meet CA Prabdeep the next day and he says, how are you doing? You say, I'm convalescing. Just use the word, whether it is required or not, just use the word. I went to the hospital yesterday, that person is convalescing. Just take every opportunity to use the word. Now, since that day, I use the word convalesce as easily I can use the word recover. Now somebody can ask you, Prabdeep ji, that why should I use the word convalesce? I'll go with an easier option of recovering. I'm saying that's fine.
Right.
What if you were sick? You did not go to the office for 2 days. It was a multinational company. After 2 days, your boss Tom asks you, okay, Prabdeep, you did not come for 2 days. How are you convalescing now? Now you don't understand what is the boss asking you. No? You have no clue. You say, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. He's asking you, how are you convalescing? You will say, okay, sir. Good. Same to you, sir. So I should know these words, not just because I should be able to speak, but more importantly, in the international environment today, this could be a run-of-the-mill word for the other person. And once you have a vocabulary, strong vocabulary, because chartered accountants have the analysis power, you can weave it into sentence. Sentence is nothing but a choice of words. If I don't have words, even if I have a thought, how will I articulate that into a nice meaning? So use polite words, use good words, use relevant words. English is such a beautiful language. Hindi is such a beautiful language. Every language is so beautiful. Tamil is so old, beautiful language. Bangla is so beautiful. Urdu is so beautiful. So I hope you will build your vocabulary. Don't think much. One word every day.
Thank you so much. I will request Ranganathan ji to thank you and share his few words before we conclude for the day. Already we are 6 minutes late. Yeah.
Sir, as usual, sir, very, very wonderful session. In fact, not only your speech, whenever I talk to you over telephone or I meet you, I really enjoy it. And I'm thankful to our past president, Mr. Devraj Reddy ji, who actually introduced me to you. Although many people in the institute knew you, but I was never in the event management field for a long number of years. So therefore, I could never have a chance to meet you, although I had heard about you. But these 5 years interaction with you, lot of knowledge I gained. Particularly, sir, like somebody pointed out, your vocabulary, your mannerism. The best thing I like is, sir, that maybe you are clicked in Doordarshan because your pronunciation is extremely clear. No, you don't eat any words. You speak your sentences with a uniform speed, and every word is very crystal clearly audible. Now, sir, one question somebody has asked. I really like this question. I don't know whether you'll be able to cover this. This is Ashish Dey. Ashish Dey says, if you interview Prime Minister of India on a DD, which is a government channel, will you be partial in your questioning? If you can kindly answer this question, sir, I would also like to know this.
Yes. So, first of all, thank you, Ranganathan ji, for your kind words and appreciation. Well, I have had a chance to ask Prime Minister questions on various forums earlier because I cover Prime Minister. Please understand that Doordarshan is a public service broadcaster and so is All India Radio. And every government would require a public service broadcaster to ensure that whatever policies and programs they make reach out to people. So if any government comes, and in a democracy, you choose a certain government. Now that government comes up with certain policies. So say, for example, they have come up with Jan Dhan Yojana. It is our mandate to tell you that what is Jan Dhan Yojana. If they come up with, some new scheme, Ujjwala Yojana, and how do you benefit from Ujjwala Yojana? So our job there as a public service broadcaster becomes that the chosen government in a democracy, you tell about their programs. First of all, make people aware, right? So to answer Ashish's questions, I look forward to a one-on-one with the Prime Minister, and I can tell you that 99% programming on Doordarshan is real-time live, which essentially means that we ask questions as they happen, and whatever they answer, that answer is right there, real-time live. So I'm very sure that I will have the freedom to ask him all the questions with great objectivity. However, it is very important that you maintain the decorum of the Prime Minister's office and you don't embarrass him by asking any flimsy question. A private channel may not necessarily have that as their agenda. They can ask anything. They can use any word. But Prasar Bharati is very, very mindful of every word, not only to the Prime Minister. I'm saying any guest that comes, whether from the current government or a representative from the opposition. I remember when Delhi was going to the polls, I hosted a show where I had the spokesperson of all the political parties. And they do fight with each other. But you have to ensure that when they are your guest, you give them the comfort and space. Anchor is always neutral. It is the job of the audience to judge whether they were convinced with the argument. India for long had the tradition of debate. You look at Shankaracharya. When Shankaracharya ji wanted to tell about increased awareness and consciousness, a lot of people did not agree. And he used the mode of debate. So, in a democracy, a mature debate is something that has to happen. Sometimes we feel a predetermined, preconceived notion, and we already think that A is not good, B is not good. And particularly when you have a calamity of COVID's magnitude, this is the time to come together, and we can find systemic faults and things like that and strengthen that. But to answer your question, I look forward to the interaction with the Prime Minister, and I can tell you when that happens, you will watch it happening on Doordarshan, and we'll do it with complete 100% objectivity.
Thank you so much. We are 10 minutes late, and before we leave for the day, I would like to request all the participants to please be here tomorrow. 3 special sessions on voice and communication, negotiation skills, and leadership lessons from the corporate world is there. I'm sure you will like it. Thank you so much, Amitji, for a wonderful session, and a big virtual applause for you. And thank you to our committee chairman, C. Hansraj sir, vice chairman, C. Durgesh Kabra sir, for giving us this opportunity. And 7 days in earlier program and 3 days. So we have completed 10 days in the last few days of learning, which is making all of us so engaged. And we are really happy with the way participants are benefiting, and even so many messages I'm getting from senior people who are also benefiting a lot. And many have commented about your session. After I said that, many have given beautiful words about your session. 20 more got encouraged, and so many other comments and also flown in by the time we are finishing. So thank you so much. Thank you to each one of you. And stay safe, take care, and see you tomorrow. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.